Alejandro De Aza has been hitting second in the first 2 games, and he's a left-handed hitter, so against the left-handed starter, Showalter going with the better matchup. Outfield play has been a part of the story in this series. It could be again today, especially in the sizable outfield of Comerica Park, a much bigger ballpark, much more pitcher friendly, as Price issues the walk and the Orioles have a man on. And Joe, how about the Tigers defensively today?
Well, everything remains the same with one great exception. Rajai Davis is not in the lineup today. After trying to play in the first 2 games, it was obvious that he couldn't, and on a cool 53-degree day, he's not in the starting lineup. So Don Kelly's in center field. He is a veteran. He's more of a utility player now than he was, but he can still play in center field, and it was obvious that Brad Ausmus wanted a veteran out there as opposed to an inexperienced player like Carrera.
Now, Rajai Davis had to be taken out of both games, and in game 2, because of an injury, it tightened up on him. He's had a lot of trouble. Not the same kind of player that the Tigers hoped he would be because of this injury. It's a pelvic ligament sprain for Rajai Davis. A bit of an unusual injury, but it has certainly sent Brad Ausmus and the Tigers back to the drawing board. Don Kelly making just his 3rd start since the trade of Austin Jackson. Orioles don't have that problem with Adam Jones. He is a Gold Glove center fielder and a 3-hole hitter, and a big part of what the Orioles do offensively.
I want to say real quickly before Price throws to Jones, because you know Jones loves to swing the bat, that Price has had a lot of trouble early this year, especially since coming over here to Detroit. A game against the Yankees, he gave up 8 consecutive hits, something crazy like that. Gave up a 5-spot early to the San Francisco Giants. He's had, unlike him, he had trouble early. So, and you see the ball 4. That's unlike him. He's a strike thrower, this guy.
Now, Price is going to do all he can to get this crowd engaged in it. This is about as quiet as a postseason game can be to start a game. Tigers are down 2-0 in this series, and these Tiger fans are certainly concerned. Now, Detroit fans take a backseat to no one across baseball. They pack this park just about every day during the regular season. They have a great fan base here. They've got a lot of great history, and Joe, their club's done a lot of winning, as the Tigers have had plenty of experience in elimination games over the last 4 years. As a matter of fact, they played in 8 win-or-go-home contests over the last 4 years, so they're used to this environment.
As we mentioned, David Price is too, so he's no stranger to it, even though this is his first one in postseason play with Detroit.
0-2 to Adam Jones. Fouls it away.
One thing we noticed when we first got here today, and that is the wind. The wind's blowing in from right or right center. So given that it's cool, it's going to feel a lot cooler than 53. Might be a great day to pitch, Eck.
Oh, I'd love to pitch here. Big ballpark to begin with. We saw in Camden Yards how the ball flies out of there, and not going to be the same way here.
Well, we saw 8 home runs in the first 2 games of the series. Tigers have hit 5 of them. Now the Comerica Park crowd trying to get into it. And a check on Pierce at first base. The Orioles, if you've been with us, you know the story. They don't run much. This is not a club that tries to steal a lot of bases. Although, Joe, they're pretty aggressive on the base paths. Doesn't show up in the stolen base category, but they do a lot of things aggressively, just like they swing the bat on the bases.
Miguel Cabrera came off the bag, almost walked that ball back to Price with the white towels flying. I think he had a little bit of a hard time picking up that pickoff throw.
Cabrera's not happy. You see in his body language a little bit with the towels revving up again across the third base side. There's a swing and a miss. Jones strikes out, and Price picks up his first K. We got Jones to chase one, and the second out of the first inning.
Well, anything close, Jones was going to swing, and that ball is not even in the vicinity, and he swings through this ball. Little fastball high and away, beats him badly, but anybody's going to get beat on that.
Now, Price is a strike thrower this year. His strikeouts to walk ratio about 7-1. And that can sometimes be a great thing for a pitcher, but against the Baltimore Orioles, that can get you in some trouble. because they do swing early and they're looking for strikes. Fastballs, breaking balls, doesn't matter. As Nelson Cruz on the first pitch, fly ball to that cavernous center field. Don Kelly is there, and David Price puts up a 0 in the first. Now the Tigers coming up against Bud Norris. If the Tigers win, we'll be back here tomorrow afternoon. Here is the T-Mobile batting order for the Tigers. Brad Ausmus has Ian Kinsler leading off. Not a whole lot of changes. Win. We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon. Here is the T-Mobile batting order for the Tigers. Brad Ausmus has Ian Kinsler leading off. Not a whole lot of changes here. Torrey Hunter bats second. And the middle of the order is Miguel Cabrera. At first base, the DH is Victor Martinez. JD Martinez is in left. He's hit a couple of homers already. Alex Avila will do the catching. At third base is Nick Castellanos, had a Game 2 homer. Andrew Romine at short. And Don Kelly, his first start of the postseason this year. He gets the call in center field. And Eck on the mound, it is Bud Norris, postseason start #1 for him.
Well, a little anxious, you know, to say the least for him, but we thought it was going to be Gonzalez. Late was Norris, but this kid had a great year for them, won 15 games. You talk about lately, September 4-0 with about a 2 fastball slider, a lot of hard stuff.
Facing Ian Kinsler to start it for the Tigers, and a lot to talk about with the Norris-Gonzalez flip-flop. We had a chance to visit with Buck Showalter before the game. He was at least 5 cups into the coffee when we talked to him, so it may take a few innings to dispense all that he had to say. But in your mind, Eck,
yes,
why Bud Norris today? What do you think of all the reasons that Buck gave us, the most important in your mind that Norris gets the ball today over Gonzalez?
I'm not really quite sure. I guess because he said this game is not as much pressure as the next one, Game 4 would be. He told us something that if he pitches now, maybe he can come back in Game 5 out of the bullpen, which I don't think that is. I think this kid's an anxious kind of a kid, and he wants to give him the best chance at the most comfortable game of this series, and this would be more comfortable than tomorrow.
And he is awfully aggressive. He can get real hyper. He might have a little trouble controlling his emotions here in the first couple of innings, too.
I mean, he walks guys galore. You're talking about leadoff walks. He's done that 25 times over the course of this season, which is a huge amount.
Yeah.
League leading amount.
Hitters count. They do a shift again. They move Scope over on the left side of the infield.
3-1 to Kinsler. That one's right down the heart. That's Jeff Kellogg calling the balls and strikes. He's the crew chief of this 6-man umpiring crew. We'll see the shift that is on. Kinsler will get a shift. Alex Avila will get a shift on the other side. The Orioles aren't afraid to move their infielders. 3-2 pitch in the air, right field. Going back on it is Markakis, and he's got it for the out. And Joe, talk us through the Orioles defensively.
They've played good defense in this series. They've done really well on some relay plays that have picked up their defense, picked up their pitchers, saved them some runs. But you see that Delman Young is in left field instead of DeAza, and this is a cavernous ballpark, as you mentioned, Brian. And even Buck Showalter said there may be some times if a ball's hit into the left field corner, we may have to have a double relay to get the ball from Young to second base.
He said Young and Nelson Cruz are awash defensively, and Showalter, as Joe mentioned last inning, he wants to be able to get DeAza in the game in left field defensively if the Orioles have a lead late. We'll see how it all plays out. Torrey Hunter steps in. Hunter is 2 for 7, both of those hits coming in Game 2, and he and Bud Norris have a history this year. Norris was actually ejected from a game after he drilled Torrey Hunter, and that is after Torrey Hunter had a 5 RBI game in Detroit. And then the next time around in Baltimore, after an Ian Kinsler 3-run home run on May 12th, Norris stuck one in the ribs of Torrey Hunter. That got him ejected. The bench is emptied. A couple of days later, Verlander threw behind Nelly Cruz. And so even though these two teams, Joe, haven't played in a long time up until this postseason, they hadn't matched up since early May.
They don't forget.
Yeah, there's still a little bad blood and some long memories.
You know, Torrey Hunter hasn't forgotten.
Well, Norris hasn't exactly thrown very well against Baltimore in his short time against them. He's 0-3 with like a 6.5.
And a chance for Torrey as he takes a strike.
And he pitches inside a lot. Norris, he's going to come in on you, in, out, in, out. He hit 14 batters this year, so he's not afraid to pitch in, and he's a power guy. He's going to have to keep you off the plate.
That misses down and away, and a walk to Torrey Hunter. Starting to see Hunter get on base the last two games, and that's important because of where he hits in the lineup. 3, 4, and 5 in the Tigers lineup has been very good. And it starts with Miguel Cabrera as we take a look at today's Playmakers presented by the all-new Chrysler 200. Joe Cabrera, Martinez, J.D. Martinez, they have combined for 9 hits. And they've hit 4 home runs. They're doing their part offensively. Yeah,
you see that bottom line, though. Everybody else hitting under 200. Unlike the Orioles, up and down the Orioles lineup, they've got RBIs, they've got runs scored, they've got good on-base percentages. But other than Torrey the last 2 games, Kinsler's not getting on. The bottom of their order is not getting on.
Cabrera takes a strike right down the heart.
You see those numbers, though, from 3, 4, 5. You would think you're up 2 games to nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think that there's not going to be a lot of runs scored, the good pitching. Meanwhile, they're raking and they're not winning.
And it's getting very, very frustrating for Miguel Cabrera. We saw that in the dugout in the top of the 9th of game 2.
Now, Cabrera has been very vocal. He has been animated. And a big swing. Good slider by Norris. That's his money pitch.
I was down there talking to Miguel before the game, and he's asking me, can you still pitch? What's that telling you? Yeah, it's like they need a guy to come out of the bullpen. Are you kidding me? And I thought he was serious. I was saying, you know, I had rotator surgery. I was serious. I said, you know, my arm doesn't feel very good. You know.
He's not the only one, I promise. Eck parading along the field before these games here, the Hall of Fame closer, and that's been on the mind of a lot of the Tigers players, staff, and of course their fans. As Norris misses upstairs. Everything's going well for the Tigers. You know, they're getting good starting pitching. Not great, but good. They are certainly swinging the bat well. They've had enough run production to win a couple of games. Had a 5-run inning in game 2. It just all boils down to the bullpen for Detroit. And at some point, they have designs on winning a World Series. That bullpen is going to have to deliver. Max Scherzer, the game 1 loser. There's been a lot of discussion about how Brad Ausmus is going to use him.
You know, we knew going into this series that their rotation had to go deep, right? We all knew that. But they got 7 out of Scherzer. They only got 5 out of Verlander, right? I mean, you need more out of Verlander. Luckily, Sanchez gave them a couple of innings, and now we talk about Price. I mean, this is their strength. I mean, we're talking about you got to go 7, 8 innings, and you go to 1 or 2 guys in the bullpen, preferably just Joe Nathan.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count on Cabrera. Torrey Hunter at first, and a little half swing. Did he go? He does. Cabrera unable to check his swing, according to Jim Wolf. That's one thing Miggy does. He always asks for his own appeal, as if to tell the umpire, go ahead, I dare you.
Well, there may have been a little extra on that breaking ball from Norris, because the pitch before, when time was called and he was coming out of his stretch, he looked in at Jeff Kellogg, the umpire, and pointed at the catcher and Cabrera and said, which one called time? And Kellogg pointed at his catcher.
Nice.
And I think he was maybe a little miffed that the time was called so late and wanted to know who did it.
It's just an observation here, and it's only 2 games plus what we've seen in the first inning here. I feel like Miguel Cabrera is trying to elevate not just his game on the field, but what is going on around the game, trying to engage teammates, trying to engage fans even. Seen some histrionics from him in the first 2 games of the series. There's Victor Martinez taking strike 1.
Here was that time call, and right here Norris looks in and says him or him. Which one?
Well, it's no time for Norris to be upset right now. How do you get upset? You got the greatest hitter on earth at the plate. What, I'm going to call him out? Meanwhile, he threw him a nasty slider and punched him out.
And a quick check on Hunter. Victor Martinez, one of the players that the Orioles will shift against. The second baseman, Jonathan Scope, he's out there in the grass. He has a very strong throwing arm. There aren't many second basemen that can play that deep. But he has a shortstop's arm, so the O's are very comfortable with him in that rover position. Martinez slices one foul. Victor's had a terrific postseason thus far. He's 3 for 8. He homered, has 3 runs batted in, 32 homers this year, and he drove in 103 runs. Just a monster season in the final year of his contract. He finished 8th in the league in homers, 7th in the American League in RBIs, and he finished 2nd in the league in batting average behind Jose Altuve of the Astros. Former Astro Bud Norris traded to the O's last year at the trade deadline. And down he goes. Norris with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. And Bud Norris, they were worried about his first postseason inning. No problem. A scoreless frame, and we go to the second in Detroit. One of the many greats memorialized in bronze here at Comerica. Say a reminder, Bleacher Report lead National League Baseball writer Scott Miller answers your burning questions right now on Facebook. You can join the live Q&A on the Bleacher Report MLB Facebook page. That's facebook.com/MLBBR. Delman Young drawing some boos here in Detroit. The former Tiger who hurt them badly with a 3 RBI double proved to be the game winner for the Orioles, and he hacks at the first pitch and fouls it away. What a moment it was. It has been one of the signature moments of the postseason. With Young at the plate, the Orioles down 2, bases loaded. J.J. Hardy scores all the way from first, and Delman Young strikes again in the postseason.
Funny how things turn out. In that game we talked about for David Price last year at Texas, in that tiebreaker, he got a run early in the ball game to get him going, and that run was produced by Delman Young on a sac fly when he was teammate in Tampa.
Now Young has bounced around quite a bit, but he has managed to find himself on postseason ball clubs quite a bit as well. And you say a former teammate of Delman Young's, and you're talking about just about everybody in the ballpark. See the Chevrolet pit tracks for David Price during the regular season. Fastball changeup and the occasional breaking ball that he throws, the slider. And there's a swing and a miss.
A little changeup right there.
Pulled the string, down he goes. Delman Young strikes out to start the second. Strikeout number 2 for David Price.
This is how he puts away a lot of right-handed hitters on his arm side. You know, you see that. Is that a slider or a changeup? Oh, it's changeup. A little 3-finger turn me over changeup, 84 miles an hour, down and out of the strike zone. Strike 3. And I'll tell you what, he's gone to that a lot more than he did when he was young. I tell you, I saw a couple of games with him early on when he was with Tampa. He'd throw 120 pitches, 110 fastballs. I mean, 95 plus. He's lost a little of that gas. As you see, 93. He may get it up a little bit more than that. But he still, you see that abbreviated windup. He sort of recoils when he throws the ball. Got great leverage.
2 Ks and a walk early for David Price, facing J.J. Hardy here with 1 away. And Hardy pulls one on the ground. Backhanded Castellanos, bobbles, and no throw made. So Hardy will reach. They were covering the hole with J.J. Hardy. That was down the line more. Castellanos had it pop out of his glove, and Hardy is aboard with 1 away.
Well, he's got to make a play here. You talk about this ball pulled down line. As soon as he hit it, I thought it was an easy ground ball right at the third baseman. As you see, he's playing in the hole. Little backhand, doesn't get it cleanly, and forget about it. That ball's, you know, belt high out over. Just didn't make the play.
Must have had a scouting report against left-handers that Hardy doesn't pull the ball that much, and they were off the line a little.
They're going to score that as an infield hit.
What?
That's a bad call.
Yeah. Certainly a play that has to be made. The Orioles are a far superior team defensively than the Tigers. That's been one of their hallmarks this year. Tigers have great starting pitching. A power-laden lineup as Nick Hundley takes a ball inside.
That's no hit. Come on. I mean, I'm a pitcher, you know.
Yeah.
Come on, will you?
Yeah, that play's got to be made. It's the big leagues. I'm going to leave it E5
Hey,
in my book.
I'm not touching it. And I use pen, so I got problems already.
Price delivers to the Orioles catcher. That one's in there for a strike. Nick Hundley.
Kind of unusual. We talked about before the game, Hundley catching Norris, with Joseph having caught him most of the time, and the success that he had with Joseph. 11-2 with Joseph behind the plate. Meanwhile, Hundley's playing.
Now Hundley was the game 1 starter, a little more experience. Joseph is a rookie. Orioles still trying to cover for the loss of Matt Wieters. They lost him in May. A very talented catcher, both sides, a Gold Glove performer. He's a switch hitter, brings a lot to the plate offensively. It's been impressive how the Baltimore Orioles have been able to not only just get by without 3 of their stars, but excel. They ran away with the American League East, won that division by 12 games. They clinched the division on September 16th. But they lost Wieters. They lost Manny Machado at third to an injury. And Chris Davis is suspended. Kinsler over to second. That's the only out they'll get. Get the lead out. Kinsler to Romine. And Hundley will reach on a fielder's choice. David Price has 2 men out here in the second inning.
We showed you that arsenal for David Price. He also has been featuring a cutter on his fastball to his arm side that Eck referred to. Sometimes to get left-handers to give up on it inside as an out pitch, and certainly a backdoor pitch to right-handers. So you can add that to some of his arsenal.
2 gone. Here is Ryan Flaherty now. Has a hit. He was part of that 8-run explosion for the Orioles in game 1, the 8-run 8th inning. Had a hit and an RBI in that frame. He's started at third base each and every game of this postseason.
And a former teammate of David Price at Vanderbilt.
Now you wonder, just because he knows him so well, does it make him easier to hit? Ryan says, I don't think so.
No.
And he's a lot better than he was then, and he was pretty great at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he said he was a big game pitcher then and now. They're even playing him to pull the left-handed pitcher on the left side of the diamond.
2 outs. 0-1 to Flaherty. And that one is off the plate. Didn't miss by much. Count evens at a ball and a strike. Orioles had their troubles at third base. Machado went out for the year, a second knee surgery. He's had surgery on both knees the last 2 seasons. And Buck Showalter was experimenting a great deal. They committed 7 errors in the final 10 games at third base. But Flaherty seems to have settled that position. Not only making the routine play, but he has made the spectacular play as well. Sounded like he broke his bat. Easy enough for Kinsler. And Flaherty is out. David Price on this cool Sunday afternoon. 2 scoreless on the board. Go to MLB.com/season tickets to reserve your seat today. Great sports day here in Detroit. Lions and the Bills just across the street. And the Tigers trying to stay alive one more day. And the first home game of this postseason for Detroit. Game 3 of this ALDS. J.D. Martinez, big ovation as he is announced. Bud Norris, his former teammate in Houston, puts it right by him for strike 1.
At 95.
He's got consistent 95. You'll see all day long. He doesn't go deep into games, though.
Now J.D. Martinez with 23 home runs in the regular season. He had 10 home runs in AAA to start the year. The Astros released him this spring. Got a chance with the Tigers. He has a lot of relationships with a number of Tigers personnel, including assistant general manager Al Avila, third base coach Dave Clark. And he's unable to check his swing. Cuts through, says Jim Wolf. It goes to 1-2.
This Comerica Park crowd needs something good to happen. They need something big to happen. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. I tell you what, this kid has got a hard slider. You see what Cabrera swung at it? When it's so bad like that, you know how nasty it is.
1-2 pitch and another little half swing. No appeal asked for this time. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
But it's almost like this crowd's sitting around waiting for something bad to happen. It's like they're down 2-0, so okay, what are the chances of coming back? They need this Tigers offense to give them a shot in the arm.
Or knowing Tigers fans like I do, they're saying something like, all right, Tigers, you made it, now prove it.
Yeah.
Prove something that I can cheer about, that I can be excited about the rest of this postseason.
From where we just came, though, in Baltimore, it was electric over there.
It was. Baltimore stood up very well. Had raucous crowds there. Martinez takes a called strike 3 and another fastball from Bud Norris. And he's got it dialed up early. It's the same pitch he struck out Victor Martinez. He's got 3 consecutive Ks.
All looking.
Well, guys, the upcoming TBS schedule presented by DirecTV. Next, it's Game 3 between the Royals and the Angels from Kansas City. And then tomorrow, a couple of if necessary games on TBS. Starting with the postseason pregame show. O's Tigers Game 4 if necessary at either 12 or 1:30. Depending on if KC sweeps the Angels. And then it's Angels Royals if necessary, 6 p.m. on TBS.
Well, the Royals got it working, don't they?
Do they ever? 3 consecutive extra inning victories as Alex Avila down the left field line. That is a base hit. Young wrestling with an alligator down there, and it goes nearly to the wall. And Avila's into second base with a double. And the first Tigers hit comes from their catcher.
It wasn't pretty down there, down the left field line. No. I don't think it matters. I mean, that was a double all the way. He almost turned it into a triple if anybody could run. Avila cannot run. And you see, that's the changeup that he's been working on. That's a hard changeup. If you think about it, 89 miles an hour. But Avila finally gets his first hit of this series the opposite way.
Young very gingerly going over there. It's his first postseason start in the field since Game 2 of the 2012 World Series when he played for the Tigers. That was against the Giants. He's been a DH on 5 occasions in the postseason, but this first time in a couple of years he's been out there defensively. So it's a runner at second with 1 out. Here's Nick Castellanos, and Norris straightens him up.
Well, he's got to do that, you know, because he has that nasty slider down and away, and it sets it up. You've got to fire that ball in there to right-handed hitters.
And that changeup was something he started working on in spring training with their new pitching coach Dave Wallace, who just insisted that he keep throwing, and it's become a good weapon for him.
Meanwhile, if I gave up another hit with it, I'd stick it in my pocket, believe me.
Right.
Ball and no strikes. Castellanos, a Game 2 home run to the opposite field, takes a strike. Rookie third baseman. He is known as a hitter, not a great defender. They feel like he's going to be, but he did what he does best. In Game 2, he and J.D. Martinez went back to back. That was part of a 5-run 4th inning for the Tigers in Game 2. There's a swing and a miss.
I mean, that fastball in first time set that up. He looked like he was just didn't have anything in that swing.
With the wind blowing in from right center, anything hit toward left, like straightaway left field, is really going to start moving toward the foul line. And Delmon Young's got to be prepared for that, as does J.D. Martinez for the Tigers. It's going to get pushed hard toward the line.
In the air to right, slicing, got some carry to it. Markakis will line it up. He's got a great arm. Avila will challenge him here, and Avila will make it without a throw. So the Tiger catcher advances to third, but there are 2 outs now. On the fly ball to right, 2 gone for Bud Norris with Andrew Romine coming up.
Those fly balls in Baltimore, every time the ball went in the air, let alone to right field, you thought it had a shot.
There have been 8 home runs in this series in the first 2 games in Baltimore, and we just kind of did a little informal math and measurements on those. And Joe, it felt like 4 of the 8 would have been in the ballpark here at Comerica versus Camden Yards.
Yeah, about half would have been playable here because of the spacious confines, especially out in right center.
Here's Andrew Romine, switch hitting shortstop, has a couple of hits in the first 2 games, 2 for 8. Got a runner at third, and he shows bunt, gets it down. It's a good one coming in. Scope out of the glove, and it is in time for the out. And we might have a look at this one. Omar Vizquel thinks he's safe. The first base coach, Brad Ausmus, is on his way out immediately. The crew chief, Jeff Kellogg, trying to tell everybody to stay on the field for the Orioles. This is going to be a close one.
His scope, he got to it, but it didn't come out of his glove clean, did it?
No.
Like a little changeup he threw him.
It got hung up in the web of his glove, and from up here, I thought he was safe.
And they will go to a challenge. This is under review.
Ooh, that is close.
And this is something to look at from a lot of different angles. They can stitch these replays together. The ball is not officially in the glove until it makes contact with the back of the glove, right, Joe? So
right.
If it disappears, it's not there yet.
Just because it's between each side of the glove doesn't mean it's been caught yet.
Boy, this is going to be a close call.
It is. It is. They're going to call him safe because it wasn't in the back of the glove.
Right.
So it is out of the hands of the umpires on the field. It is at the Replay Challenge Center in New York.
Surprising bunt by Romine. Just a great play. If he's safe, this was a great play.
Play under review presented by Samsung.
All the Orioles could hope for is an inconclusive here, but you see that one play, you could tell it's not the back of the glove with his foot on the front of the bag.
And that's a good point on the verbiage. It has to be clear and convincing evidence to overturn it, and the fact that it was an out call on the field is important here to see if they do turn it over. That's the calling umpire facing us, Jim Wolf. The crew chief, Jeff Kellogg, with his back to us.
First of all, Scope threw him a changeup, and he threw a high changeup. If he threw it at his chest, he's out easy.
Right. And if there is such thing as a tie goes to the runner, that might be it. If that's good enough to overturn it.
Wow. It's just all comes down to the back of the glove. Because the foot hits in front, the ball's in the glove, but it's not totally caught yet.
Now just keep in mind, in the review center in New York, they're not subject to our replays. They have all of our camera angles. They have access to every replay. As I mentioned, they can stitch together, and they are pouring through all this. There's an umpire assigned to this game. There are multiple umpires in the command center with supervisors, and I'm sure they've got a lot of eyes.
What do you think, Joe?
On this play?
I think he's safe.
I think he's safe too, but it wouldn't surprise me if they call him out.
All right, headsets coming off. Jeff Kellogg will make the call. Out.
Called him out.
Wow, it stays.
Told you.
Not enough evidence.
Wow, that's
to
a
overturn.
Run. That's a run.
Instead of an infield hit and an RBI, Brad Ausmus loses his challenge. It goes against the Tigers. We remain scoreless. Whew. We're going to be talking about that one for a while. Off the 9-hole hitter for the Orioles on a play that goes to a managerial challenge by Brad Ausmus. He loses his challenge now. And the scoop by Scope to get the out.
You know, watching his glove that time, watching Scope's glove instead of watching Pierce's glove, I'm not sure the ball got hung up in his glove as much as he just shoveled it, just catapulted it so high that it took a long time to get there.
But if they had called him safe, I don't. There's no argument either way. I mean, I could have lived with that too.
Well, I thought he was safe.
Yeah.
And it's been that kind of series so far for the Detroit Tigers. The official ruling coming back after the challenge is the call stands. That means there's not enough evidence to overturn. So if the call on the field is safe, it probably would have stood up as safe.
Yeah.
Because there wouldn't be enough evidence to overturn it that way either.
Well, and I don't blame Brad Osmussen either, because the run was at stake here, and it's the first run of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Wolf, first base umpire. Older brother of big league pitcher Randy Wolf, who spent a little time in Baltimore. Scope, a swing and a miss.
I'll tell you what, Scope reminds me of Jones. Like, he's been watching Jones too much. I mean, he hacks at everything.
Well, in this series, the Orioles are swinging at first pitches in one of every 3 plate appearances. That is up from their regular season numbers, which was significant.
Yeah.
They swung at 28% of first pitches. They are the most free swinging team in the big leagues, and they do a lot of damage on that first pitch as Scope sends one in the air. Shallow right center. Don Kelly is there for out number 1 for Price.
Which is a great thing if you've started the ball game off spotting your fastball. If you're able to maybe just run your fastball a little bit off the plate, throw that cutter a little bit off the plate, and they want to chase something and get themselves out, then all the better for David Price.
Buck Showalter's done a terrific job. He has relied heavily upon his bullpen. His bullpen has pitched more innings than his starting rotation, and it is a very good bullpen. Orioles have a decided advantage in that category as well. There's a strike to Nick Markakis, back to the top of the order. Disappointed Lions fans heading out of Ford Field. The Buffalo Bills win on a late field goal, 17-14. And for those lucky enough to have a ticket to both football and baseball games today in downtown Detroit, I would imagine they'll be making their way in, and this ballpark will fill up quickly. They draw huge numbers here in Detroit, always push 3 million or so. They've seen a lot of winning baseball here in the last few years. Tigers have advanced to the ALCS the last 3 seasons. Last time the Tigers weren't in that series was 2010. They missed the postseason that year, had a 500 record. But the Tigers have lost 4 consecutive postseason games, and 6 of its last 7 dating back to the 2013 ALCS, losing to the eventual world champion Boston Red Sox. Some faces remain the same, a lot of new faces as well.
I think therein lies some of the frustration for Miguel Cabrera.
Markakis on the ground to Kinsler. Routine for the Tigers second baseman. 2 up and 2 down.
You know, he said before the season, or before this playoff started, that he didn't care about his playoff share. He just wanted a ring. Well, that was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I believe he did eventually sign the sheet of paper that he needed to sign to make sure he got his playoff share. But when they've added a guy like David Price to the rotation, which made it look like, man, that's almost guarantees us a shot at the World Series, and to fall behind 0-2, you can understand why he was very upset in Baltimore, especially when they had such a nice lead.
Now the Tigers had wins in elimination games last year in the ALDS. Game 5 at Oakland. Also game 4 at Oakland is Pierce with a big cut.
But you watch Miguel. He's a fun-loving guy. It depends on how you take it. I mean, he likes to talk. I mean, you see him talking to the opposition on and off, and he enjoys playing. I mean, he has no pressure. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have any pressure either if I was that great of a player. But the game comes so easy to him. But there's a hunger to him. You know, he wants to win.
Well, he's had a good series.
point.
Cabrera at the plate is 4 for 8. He's done his part. He had a home run, an opposite field home run in Baltimore. Brad Ausmus knows he's the leader of this club in more ways than one, on and off the field. Counts on him. Tigers gave Cabrera a long extension, an 8-year extension prior to the season, as that one comes in on Steve Pearce. So Pearce, hit by a pitch, will reach.
This looks like a cutter. It gets away.
And just grazed the lead thigh. 2 out, hit batter. And the O's with a man on for Adam Jones.
And the ricochet took a bite out of Avila.
Hurt Avila more than it hurt Pierce.
Yeah.
And he takes a beating back there.
He
Avila,
just glad it didn't hit him in the mask.
Oh.
He's had some concussion problems. He's had 3 concussions in his time in the big leagues, including one just a few weeks ago in mid-September. So a runner at first with 2 outs. Here's Adam Jones. High pop up, shallow left. Back is Romine calling, and JD Martinez will call him off, and that's that for the Birds in the 3rd. David Price, 3 shutout innings, has a couple of Ks. Series. The Orioles up 2 games to none. If they win, they will advance to the ALCS. It'll be the first time since 1997. The Orioles winning their division in the American League East for the first time since 1997. Don Kelly starts it for the Tigers. He's in the 9 spot. Rajai Davis has started the first 2 games. We've seen a little bit of Ezekiel Carrera, but it is Kelly who gets the start today, and a little handle shot in there for a base hit. The 34-year-old Don Kelly, been a part of so many of these great postseason runs by the Detroit Tigers, and it's a leadoff single here in the 3rd.
Fastball he's trying to get in right here, leaks out over the plate. I think he hit that ball at the end of the bat. Dunked it into left field.
Well, you pull for a guy like Kelly who gets inserted into a game like this. It's so important for the Tigers that Brad Ausmus has got enough confidence in him to play center field today, which is not his natural position. But maybe he can give them a shot in the arm offensively.
Tigers traded Austin Jackson in order to get David Price. Kelly has made 3 starts since that trade. This is number 4. And anytime the bottom of the order gets on base for this very powerful top of the order, the Tigers are putting themselves in a great position.
Well, I've got a comparison for you on that, Brian. The bottom of the order for the Orioles, the first 2 games, went 6 for 15 getting on base. They scored 4 runs, drove in 3. Bottom part of the order for the Tigers, the bottom 2. They were getting some guys on base. Romine's been on base a couple of times. They haven't scored a run, and they haven't driven one in.
There you go. Well, Kinsler drove in 92 runs during the regular season, and a lot of that due in large part to what happened at the bottom of the order, especially once Rajai Davis took over as the 9-hole hitter, essentially putting leadoff hitters back to back, even though they hit 9 and 1 in the order. Yeah, Kinsler, big swing and a miss at that slider from Bud Norris.
You wasn't going to get a fastball right there, 2-0. No way.
The other side of it with Rajai Davis was, you know, he got a couple of hits. There was one that was noticeable that he hooked into the corner in Baltimore that he didn't get to first very well. So even if he got on, he couldn't run. You know, it was going to take 3 more hits to get him around to score.
They got enough of those guys.
Yeah.
But you can't put something on here, you know, hit and run. You don't even see that.
In the dirt, nice pick back there by Hundley. On a sharp slider down and away.
Can't count on Norris throwing a strike, to be honest with you. 2-1 there. But they don't do it anyway.
Well, Norris fairly quick to the plate. Hundley throws the ball fairly well. Don Kelly runs fairly well. He has 6 out of 7 stolen bases. See if Ausmus wants to get something in motion here. 3 balls and a strike on Ian Kinsler. Second time through the order now. Kelly took a big lead. Kinsler turns on one, but it's shallow left. Young playing on the warning track has a long run in to make the catch in the palm of his glove. Oh, practically standing in the bullpen when he started that trick.
My heart is in my pocket if I'm a pitcher. Huh? I'm thinking can of corn. I turn around thinking, oh my goodness, this might drop.
National League postseason suspense continues tomorrow on MLB Network. It's Nationals Giants game 3 after their marathon yesterday, and then later on Fox Sports 1 Dodgers Cardinals 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. Don't miss the action. The times depend on the Angels and the Royals game 4 if necessary. So the National League back at it. I tell you guys, Buck Showalter, and I don't blame him for talking to us about all the positives that Delvin Young brings to the table defensively, but I'm not buying it.
If he believes it, then bless his heart.
He said it wasn't aesthetically good.
He did say that. He did. I asked him if he was going to put him, if he was going to play him deep. When Young was a Minnesota Twin, Ron Gardenhire would have him play as deep as possible, trying to cut off extra base hits, eliminate slugging percentage. But it is a tough day for the outfielder today to start with the wind gusting up to 25 miles an hour. See if it could be a factor.
Norris got away with a 3-1 pitch, a little up out of the zone for Kinsler to handle.
It was just bad enough.
Just enough. Well, it was a ball.
Yeah. A case where Ian Kinsler may have been trying to do too much. Had the count in his favor and chased a bad ball.
Kinsler just 1 hit in this series thus far. He's 1 for 10. Coming over from the Rangers to the Tigers this offseason in the Prince Fielder trade. Torrey Hunter in an 0-1 count. Orioles looking to turn 2. There goes Kelly, and the pitch gets away. And it bounces right back to Hundley. Mark that one down for later. It can come back quickly off that screen back there. But that'll be a stolen base for Don Kelly. And it takes the Orioles out of a double play chance to get out of the inning. And it puts a runner in scoring position for Torrey Hunter.
Decent jump, decent lead, but he could be thrown out very easily. But that ball goes all the way back to the screen. Look at no chance.
Look how far away from the target he was.
I mean, he's sitting up inside.
Yeah.
And he throws it. He could launch him with the best of them, this kid. He's got some hair to begin with, you know, 95, 96. He can get it up there.
Norris had 3 wild pitches during the regular season. Well, Hunter has been in a hitter's count twice. He drew a walk in the first inning. 2 balls and a strike on Hunter. With runners in scoring position, Bud Norris during the regular season was at his best, an opponent batting average of 173.
That's outstanding.
No Tiger has more RBIs against Bud Norris than Torrey Hunter. 6 career ribbies, had 5 in 1 game earlier this season here in Detroit back in April. And on the ground to short, Hardy will look back. The runner throws to second. Kelly got caught short, and he is out. Jonathan Scope put his big linebacker body right in front of the bag, and Don Kelly couldn't get there.
He just laid down on him. There was no way Kelly was going to get back to the bag.
I wasn't sure he caught that ball. He sort of fell on top of him and then finally recovered, but we'll see if he caught it cleanly.
Well, remember, Brad Ausmus has already used his challenge. And so the umpires get together here.
He's got to get back right there. He's going to be out with any kind of throw. See, he didn't have control of the ball. He dropped the ball, but he had mauled him. You know, think about it. See, he doesn't catch this cleanly. He drops it. And then he has enough time to go grab the ball, and you're still out.
Still tagged.
So what do you call that? Yes. That's what happened. I mean, and he had mauled him. He couldn't even get to the bag.
I mean, could you go with obstruction
That's
in a
an
spot like
obstruction.
this?
I don't know the clear-cut rule. You never see this.
Is there some kind of rule on this for like calf roping?
He's
he held him
holding
down and
back,
then tied him up.
and then tags him out, shows him the ball. That's Field and Colbreth, the second base umpire.
How do you tackle somebody and then you drop the ball and you stay right there while I get the ball?
Yeah.
And then I'll tag you and then you're out. I mean, you don't see that very
No.
often.
It's going to stand.
That is.
Yes.
And so Scope using all of his assets
Never got to the base.
keep Kelly off the base, and he never did get there. He was
How did he
certainly
miss the throw
out,
to
but
begin with? The throw's in his glove. He's more worried about, tackling him. Look, the
He's
hand
not-
doesn't get there.
No,
It's
he
so
came
true.
up. He came up just short of the goal line. That nose tackle planted him.
Isn't that something? I've never seen that.
Me neither.
At second base.
just another bad
There
break
he got it.
for
It
the
was too late.
Tigers.
I mean, I remember Bobby Grich, right? With the knee
Yeah.
down
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time. Guys used to get crazy with that.
Yeah.
And somewhere Ken Herbeck is smiling. Former Minnesota Twin first baseman.
Yeah, Ron
just
Gantz.
pulling people off the bases.
Ron Gantz not.
Well, that's a big play because it is a runner at first now with 2 outs with Miguel Cabrera at the plate instead of runner in scoring position.
It may have been a questionable play or call, but it was a bad base running
Oh, yeah.
mistake that set it up.
Cabrera struck out his first time up. Hits that one sharply. Hardy on a backhand goes to second. Low throw that gets away. Steve Pearce trying to cut it off as Hunter rounds third and will stop there.
Well, I thought he was going to send him. With 2 outs, he's thinking about it. Clark sending Hunter at third. Once that ball got away, it's funny. Here we get a play right after this to Hardy. Not an easy play by any means because you've got Scope on the run. You're trying to hit him on the run at the same time at the bag, and you'll see Scope playing deep in the hole. This is not a good throw. Ball's down and away in the dirt. You cannot. This is just a really bad throw. Could not pick it. But once he couldn't, Pearce got on his horse to get that ball down the first base line, and
Hardy may have forgotten who was running from the plate too, and that was Miguel Cabrera, where he would have had a little more time than he thought.
That'll be an error on the shortstop Hardy. Cabrera reaches on a fielder's choice. He's at second. Second and third for Victor Martinez. And a big opportunity here for Detroit. 2 outs in the inning. Martinez takes one down and in. A heck of a play by Nick Hundley. Saves a run.
no big deal, huh? A little backhand fastball in the dirt. He didn't have time to get his body in front of this. He just threw a backhand at him, picked it nicely. That ball's all the way back. Woo.
Well, Victor Martinez has been striking out a lot. Struck out his first time up today, and that is 4 strikeouts in 9 at-bats for the guy who is the toughest to fan in the American League. One every 15.3 at-bats.
And struck out just 4 times in his last 31 games of the regular season. 4 in his last 9 at-bats. That one's off the foot. A foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike on Victor Martinez.
So the Tigers lose a run on the call at first base that went against them on the bunt by Romine. They have the play at second base that was questioned by Osmus that went against them. That ultimately cost them a run on the error there.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Norris, I'm a little careful here. You got to be a little careful here with Martinez. Doing a fastball down, nice pick, and then a slider down and in.
Ball and a strike. Martinez, one of the great run producers in the American League this year, and he is a touch late, fouls it back on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Victor.
Forget about careful. He went right at him.
He did, but you have to think that Norris is a little skeptical about going down and in with his fastball because, or setting up away, because he's been missing so badly down and in, I should say, This forced Hundley to make a good play. Kind of pulling it.
He's not going to feature his changeup anytime soon,
No.
you think?
No.
That changeup that Martinez hit one hop off the wall, game 2 off of Gosman.
Might be a backdoor slider or something like that. See if you go after and chase something off the plate.
Martinez with 3 hits in this series, has a home run, 3 runs batted in. 2 on, 2 out, and Norris misses low. Baltimore pitching has a ton of strikeouts in this part of the order. Victor Martinez and J.D. Martinez. They have combined to strike out those 2 8 times in the first 2 games, plus the 2 at-bats by those individuals here today. Each have struck out. Without the emergence of J.D. Martinez, you don't even think about pitching to Victor in a spot like this.
Right. But
That's
those
how
two
good
guys,
J.D. has been.
those 2 guys have also combined for 3 homers.
He just hung in there. It was low. It was at 95, and somehow Victor Martinez able to foul it back to stay alive. He was the best hitter this year in baseball with 2 strikes. He hit over 330 with 2 strikes, and actually says he prefers hitting with 2 strikes. He says his concentration is elevated a great deal. Very unusual to see those kind of numbers when you get to 2 strikes, but it's been that kind of year for him. He'll be garnering some votes for MVP, and somehow he got a piece of this fastball down there.
Well, he just had a meeting with Hundley. You have to figure that they were talking about perhaps a setup pitch for an out pitch, knowing they've got a base open.
He's got to be careful with that slider down and in. It's a punch-out pitch, but it's scary.
2 and 2, 2 on, and Martinez fouls it back.
Yeah, that's
stays
the safe
alive. Take a look at what these 2 clubs have done with runners in scoring position. The Orioles not only have good numbers with runners in scoring position, but good 2-out numbers in a risk situation. The Tigers are 3 for 12. Tigers had a runner at second base in the 2nd inning with 1 out. And Castellanos and Romine made outs to end the inning.
Well, this situation has the Tigers fans on their feet for the first time.
Many of them in Lions jerseys coming over from the football game. 2 and 2 the count. Norris delivers, and Martinez fouls it away.
See, that's the punch-out pitch right there. That slider down and in. I guess he thought he threw enough fastballs away that he can get away with it. But he got a piece of it.
He's fouling off some very good pitchers' pitches. Again, the toughest to fan in the league, but not in this series.
Norris struck him out on a called strike 3 in the 1st inning. He zipped a 96-mile-an-hour fastball by him on the outside corner to end the 1st with a runner at 1st.
Yeah, when in doubt, you try to dot the outside corner. You miss it, you miss it.
Sun pops out here in Detroit. 2-2 pitch. And a little tapper off the end of the bat foul. Martinez hanging tough.
I tell you what, when I'm making pitches like that and I don't get an out, it starts to get to you after a while. You can only make so many down and away good pitches like that.
It's been an 8-pitch at bat, 4 consecutive foul balls. The switch hitter Victor Martinez, 35 years of age, coming off a career year, career best 32 homers. Led the American League in intentional walks, on base percentage. Got a base open at first, but Norris has come after him here in this sequence. 9th pitch of the at-bat. And it's in the air. Shallow right center. Back is Scope. In is Jones. And the Gold Glover will make the catch in the palm of his glove. And Bud Norris comes up with a big out. 3 scoreless on the board for Norris and Price.
sitting in the dugout on a cool day.
You think about how Price is throwing, it doesn't really light you up. You know, we're talking about a guy that struck out 271 batters. You'd think he would just be pumping things by guys, but he mixes it up. His velocities, you know, mediocre, not mediocre, but, you know, 93-ish, but he's throwing a lot of balls up.
And Cruz to the right side. That'll get past a diving Kinsler and a base hit for Nelson Cruz. Well, whatever gear this guy finds, you'd love to bottle it up. He has been a clutch postseason performer. He's now with 40 hits in 38 career postseason games.
Open stance, comes back to the plate, and look how far he lets this ball travel. He trusts his hand so much that he can let the ball get in on him a little bit and still get the barrel to it.
He just looked to me, he wasn't trying to do damage there. He, you know, 2-0, didn't get big.
That's the first hit to the outfield for the Orioles. Hardy had the first hit. That was an infield hit. And a big swing by Delman Young.
Look at the point of contact here, guys. The fact that he'd gotten his foot down, and he, like you said, Eck, he wasn't trying to do too much with it. Pitch was away from him, and he hit it away.
40 career hits in the postseason. 15 of those are home runs, and 30 runs batted in. Hit a 2-run home run in game 1. He is aboard for Delman Young. Speaking of postseason pedigree, Young is the only player to appear in the postseason each of the last 6 years for 4 different teams. Saw him last year with the Tampa Bay Rays. He and Price were teammates. Had some very good success as a member of the Tigers as well prior to that, especially in 2011 against the Yankees. Down the line, foul. Just missed the bag at third. They had Castellanos guarding the line. And the count will go to a ball and 2 strikes on Delman Young.
Boy, was he ever guarding the line or what? Because by the time he got it, I thought that he was all over this ball, and the only way you can get to it is to be playing close to the line. Foul easy.
Almost picked off Dan Bellino, third base ump.
Price threw him a changeup in, swung through it, fastball away. A little cutter that he yanked right there. Now, what's he going to get now? Obviously something away, I would think.
Avila wants a fastball. Tigers looking to turn 2 here. Young
Back
does
in.
not run all that well. And he comes in, he misses. 93 with a fastball for Price. That's about where he's been this year and today. When he first broke onto the scene with the Tampa Bay Rays when he was pitching out of the bullpen his first year in the big leagues, he was pushing it up there at 97, 98 miles an hour.
There, now he's going to go away. Try to paint him down and away. He's going to swing.
2 balls, 2 strikes. He does swing, and he swings right through it. Best fastball of the day for David Price. Went up the ladder with the heat, and he picks up his 3rd strikeout.
You think you're going to dot him down and away? No, just elevate this ball a little bit. You know he wants to swing. He can't wait to swing. Ball's up out of the zone. He cannot get to it.
Little hot 4-seamer.
Once again, that's what Price does. He moves the ball around as well as anybody with his fastball. Uses his cutter when he needs it. He's got enough velocity, especially up there.
So 1 away. Cruz still at first. Here is J.J. Hardy. Hardy's committed an error today. The normally sure-handed Orioles shortstop. Did not lead to a run. Bud Norris got a big out of Victor Martinez, stranding 2. Hardy's had some key hits already and scored the winning run on Friday. And an infield hit. His first time up in the 2nd. Yep, should have been an error probably. Hardy now with 3 hits and 7 at-bats. He's driven in a couple. And in the final year of his contract with the Orioles. A lot of speculation on where he'll end up next year.
some ways there are people talking about this Baltimore team as kind of a one-shot affair. I mean, they've got a real strong nucleus of players, but they've got a lot of guys that are up for contracts too at the end of the year, and a question mark about how many can they afford and how long will it take them to get back to the postseason if they're all gone next year.
That's a great point, and it certainly plays into how they set their roster this year, how they play down the stretch, trying to protect players, rest players. Nelson Cruz signed a one-year deal. He would be available at the end of the season, although Cruz was just raving about Buck Showalter and said one of the reasons he loves coming to the park is to play for Buck Showalter. He's fascinated by the manager and how he looks at the game and the things that he brings up to the players about the game. Cruz is oftentimes the designated hitter, so he gets a lot of time with Buck Showalter in that dugout. And Hardy takes a strike, just caught the edge with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, that's a gift right there. Everything's away. That's why you get it. It's not like that just came from nowhere.
Nick Hundley would hit next.
You talk about Cruz and you talk about staying in Baltimore, and then you start talking about major iron. You're talking about maybe what, $20 million a year. I don't think Baltimore can afford that. You got Markakis, big money coming up with an option year. You got Hardy ready to leave. Wieters has got one more year left.
3 balls and a strike on Hardy. Cruz a short lead at first, and Hardy swings and fouls it straight back right down the middle on a 3-1 pitch, and he missed it.
There's a real exchange going on at first base between the first base coach Wayne Kirby and Miguel Cabrera. Kirby came running up to give Nelson Cruz some information when that time was called a minute ago, and Cabrera turned to the first base umpire Jim Wolf as if to say, hey, get him off the field, you know, keep him out of here.
Coaches aren't supposed to be on the field.
No.
Full count. See pitch tracks, everything away except that last 3-1 pitch. And Hardy center field. Kelly almost in his tracks will make the catch. There is out number 2. And Nelson Cruz, after a leadoff single, still at first base. Say when you're done watching sports, you can watch the guys on The Big Bang Theory, not play sports. Tuesday starting at 8/7 Central on TBS. Very funny.
You're funny. I think you are.
Caught me off guard there. If I was so funny, I'd have had a funny response.
Yeah, you went down a notch.
She's like, don't put that kind of pressure on me, Joe. Here's Nick Hundley with 2 outs, and he swings to the first pitch. Hit well right center. Don Kelly will run it down. So Ausmus goes with Kelly in center, and he cashes in one for his manager. Nice running catch in the gap, and David Price has 4 zeros on the board. He's retired, and after stranding a couple of runners in the 3rd inning, but a lot of high stress innings, Joe, Norris 1 pitch and 1 out.
Well, going back to that play, if Romine's play is reversed and they've got to run in, then you can take a chance. You've already got a run and you got the lead, so you can try to add on.
This could easily be a 2-0 game.
But the heat that Dave Clark took, and rightfully so in my opinion, was that he sent Cabrera in Baltimore, and he had J.D. Martinez coming to the plate. In this case, it was Victor Martinez coming up.
Now we are scoreless, 1 out, bottom of the 4th inning. And Alex Avila, who doubled with 1 out in the 2nd inning, one of the 2 Tigers hits. No runs, 2 hits for each club. The only error on the board, Hardy's error last inning, that did not lead to a run. This is the first MLB game this postseason to get this far without a run. We've had a number of tight games, a lot of great finishes. National League takes the day off today. They're all back at it tomorrow. And you You got the Royals hosting for the first time as the nightcap of our doubleheader. Royals Angels coming up later on TBS.
Kauffman Stadium will be rocking.
7 out of the 10 postseason games we have seen this year have been a 1-run difference. Three balls, no strikes on Avila. Orioles expecting him to pull the ball on the ground. Avila's got some power. Hitting in front of Castellanos today. That's about as much as Ausmus will change this lineup. He'll just flip-flop those two on occasion. But for the most part, when healthy, everybody knows where they belong on the field and in the lineup, as Norris gets in there with a strike to make it 3-1.
That ground ball back to him by J.D. Martinez is huge, really, as far as pitch count's concerned. You know, the strike zone can get away from this kid at any given time. We've seen already.
Coming off a high-pitched third inning. And a 3-1 is in there. Caught the edge. Jeff Kellogg gave him the call. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Avila.
I guess if he hit the corner out try to hit it that many times, sooner or later he's going to give you a couple of inches, and he does right there. I'd want that. I'd probably want a couple of the previous ones too, but
He tempted to go right back there, wouldn't he?
yes,
See what he does.
he's not.
3-2 pitch,
Middle
and
gas.
down he goes, right down the middle as Bud Norris dials it up a notch and picks up his 4th strikeout.
I'll tell you, this is a beautiful thing. When you get behind a hitter 3-0 and you come all the way back and then you gas him middle, see ya. It's a beautiful thing. You see a 2-seamer, 4-seamer, 94 miles an hour, and it's right by him. That is so gratifying, coming back from a 3-0 count.
So 2 outs. Norris comes all the way back from down 3-0 on Avila to get the strikeout. 2 up, 2 down. Joe, how about the shadows this time of day? A late afternoon start as the sun begins to set beyond the first base grandstand.
Yeah, Fielding Colbert, the second base umpire, just came in and spoke to Jeff Kellogg, but I'm not sure that if he was pointing at the lights. But the lights are on, and the shadow is a factor right now.
Castellanos swing and a miss. Norris starts him with a slider.
Boy, Norris has been tough today. I know it's only the 5th inning right now, excuse me, the 4th inning right now, but he's just been tough. All of a sudden he'll launch one, you think, oh my goodness, he's losing it, and he comes right back at it.
2 players appearing in the postseason for the first time. Bud Norris was kind enough to wear a microphone for us in Baltimore, and we caught some audio that was very interesting in the first game, and Bud was saying, and our cameras picked it up and our mics picked it up, I'm glad Buck told me I'm not pitching today. I just want to experience all this, just soak it in, deal with all the nerves for my first postseason.
Yeah, I want to
game.
be a fan. Basically, I don't want to pitch today. Let me get the feel for this thing, but he
wasn't told until yesterday that he'd be getting to start today for game 3. It was assumed that he would start game 4. Miguel Gonzalez, it was assumed, and I think Buck Showalter wanted to make sure everybody assumed that. Didn't come out and say it, but he felt like Norris was going to be a better bet today. And Norris trying to send the Orioles to the American League Championship Series with a win here today. This is up and away on Castellanos.
He got off to a rough start. I mean, he won a career high 15 games as a career best 3.65 ERA, but look how he got his season turned around.
Yeah.
Last 17 starts, outstanding numbers, and even a bump up in strikeouts for 9.
That's like their whole rotation. You know, on June 1st, they went off the rest of the season.
29 years of age from the North Bay of San Francisco. Slow roller, that is foul. Missed the bag. Count will remain at 2-2. It's a cool October day. Caps, hoodies, jackets, and more you can get all of the officially licensed gear for every postseason team at MLB.com shop. Got to get into some of the winter garb, and they're used to it here in Detroit. They've had a lot of fall baseball here in Detroit the last 4 years.
Yeah, they were laughing at us coming in, but I see they've got their blankets too.
They were laughing at you two.
I was laughing at you until we got here.
I'm from Milwaukee. I'm good. Joe's broken out the hotel bathrobe today to keep himself warm, among the many layers he's got on. 2-2. And a swing and a miss. Bud Norris strikes him out. That wipeout slider. That's his money pitch. And Norris with a 1-2-3 fourth. And we are still scoreless in game 3. Buffalo Bills. This ballpark opened in 2000. And they've seen a lot of postseason baseball here recently. Actually had an all-star game in 05 as well. David Price, the third of the Cy Young Award aces on the mound for the Tigers. Scherzer took the loss in game 1 on Thursday. Verlander left with the lead after 5+ innings on Friday. And the Orioles up 2-0. Price working on a shutout, as is Bud Norris. The big lefty with 3 Ks thus far. He's hit a batter, he's walked a batter, and he's only allowed the 2 hits. Pitch count in good shape for him through the first 4 innings. Just 55 pitches. Worked around a leadoff single in the 4th inning, last inning. And he's got the bottom of the order here, Joe, and Ryan Flaherty and Jonathan Scope. And then back to Markakis. And the sun has popped out here in Detroit, which is good news for everyone.
No, it's not for the hitters. They'd just soon the clouds stay out and eliminate that shadow.
He can't walk Flaherty here. I mean, he's got to come back here. This is a cardinal sin.
And he gets the strike inside corner on Ryan Flaherty.
But again, this bottom part of the order for the Orioles has been just as potent as the top in terms of getting on base and scoring runs. Flaherty and Scope have been tough outs.
Flaherty's been a versatile utility man for the Orioles. Came to Baltimore from the Chicago Cubs.
He's a Rule 5 player, I think, right?
Yep. A couple of years ago, and Buck Showalter saw a lot of value in him. The fact that he could play all 4 infield positions. He could play both corner outfield positions as well. That one's on the ground, right to Kinsler. And David Price comes all the way back, down 3-0, and gets his first man of the inning. Moments ago, we had a chance to visit with Tigers manager Brad Ausmus. Well, Brad, being back home, you're down 2-0, but you're back home and you got David Price on the mound. What are you seeing from your big left-hander?
Well, so far so good. He's for the most part had command. Obviously he's done a nice job to this point. I'm hoping we can do this for another I don't know, 5 innings.
Yeah. Brad, this is Joe. It looked like you guys got a tough break at first base. Eck and I both thought Romine was safe, but you got to keep going.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they saw. I know it's a tough play for Jim Wolf with the naked eye to see that, but I've looked at the replay, and quite frankly, I don't understand the reasoning for not calling Romine safe, but we'll move on.
Now Torrey Hunter makes a terrific catch down the line. And our thanks to Brad Ausmus for spending a little time with us. And took the high road, which you would expect from Ausmus. He's tried to keep things pretty close to the vest in his first year as skipper. How about this play, Joe, by Torrey Hunter? He was squeezing the gap with Scope at the plate. Had a long way to go.
Yeah, he did, and he may be 39 years old, but he moves a whole lot better than a 39-year-old. Good cover on that bloop.
On his first hit, I thought that ball might drop because of the fact that he doesn't cover the kind of ground that he used to.
A 9-time Gold Glover, but all of those Gold Gloves came as a center fielder, and he hasn't played center field regularly since 2011. Had some great years with the Angels. Started his career with the Minnesota Twins. And he's in the last year of his deal. He's 39 years of age, wants to play at least one more year. As Price deals Markakis a strike.
Yeah, he has a son that is a football player at Notre Dame. If you want to think about how long he's been playing and the fact that he's still playing at a high level.
Yeah, the Irish pulled that one out yesterday, and Torrey Hunter was there for it. Day off between games. Hunter making sure he had a chance to watch his son play. Got two right fielders with Gold Gloves on their mantle. Markakis, a Gold Glove Award winner back in 11. This is his first postseason. He swings and fouls it back. Torrey Hunter was on social media, his Instagram photo, and making his way to South Bend. Jamie Maggio has more on that. Jamie?
Yeah, Torrey had a great time at the game there in South Bend yesterday. Of course, they got the win over Stanford, but Torrey actually has 3 sons playing football. The other son's Money Hunter is a cornerback at Arkansas State. Darius Hunter is a running back at Riverside Community in California. I asked Torrey, you wish your boys played baseball? Torrey Jr. does play baseball at Notre Dame, but he said, you know what? I don't want to force my sons to follow in my footsteps. Although he did advise them that, you do have more longevity playing baseball. And as you mentioned, Torrey certainly knows firsthand what that's all about. 39, still going strong in the big leagues.
How about that 18th year in the major leagues as well. Full count to Markakis. Price trying to make it a 3-up, 3-down inning. And Markakis fouls it back.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter's had his shots at trying to get to the World Series, with the Angels several times, and even going back to Minnesota, they were there. So he knows what winning baseball is all about. And when he left the Angels, he knew what he was talking about. He knew Detroit was right there.
Won the Silver Slugger Award in his first year as a Tiger last year. 3 trips to the LCS for Torrey Hunter, and he's come up short of a World Series on each occasion. Another 3-2 pitch coming from David Price. And Markakis pulls it foul. Well, we talk a lot about the Orioles and their free swinging nature. Markakis is the one guy that skews the stats the other way a little bit because he will see a lot of pitches. Matter of fact, he has gone to a full count in 5 of his 12 plate appearances in this series thus far, and he's done some damage. He hit a home run in game 2. He's driven in 3, has 3 hits, now 3 for 10 in the series. And the 3-2 is pulled foul, and he's seeing a whole boatload here.
He seems like he's he wants to work the count, make you throw pitches until he gets to 2-0 or 3-1, or in this case 3-2, and then all of a sudden he's letting it go. He is trying to drive the ball and maybe hit it out of here. But up to that point, he's very patient.
Steve Pearce on deck. Price has allowed a runner in every inning thus far. Still has a 0 on the board. Another 3-2. The 9th pitch is in there. A called strike. And down goes Markakis. Caught the edge. David Price, 5 shutout innings. We head to the home 5th. Bottom of the order coming up for Detroit. Expert opinions from the biggest names in sports. We invite you to check out Behind the Mic, powered by Ford, on BleacherReport.com/Behind the Mic. Ford Field across the way. Comerica Park is full. Relatively quiet, though. The pitchers have dominated. David Price, 5 shutout with 4 Ks. Bud Norris with 4 shutout innings has 5 strikeouts and back-to-back Ks to end the 4th.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's shown me something with that fastball. And the best at bat that he's shown me something is against V-Mart. For him to, I thought he had a base open with J.D. Martinez on deck, and he just went after him and Got him on a fly ball. Tough at bat, but he's just a tough kid the way he goes about it.
Facing Andrew Romine to start the inning. Don Kelly, the 9-hole hitter, is next, and then back to the top of the order, and it'll be the 3rd time through against Norris. He's only given up 2 hits. Alex Avila doubled in the 2nd down the left field line. Don Kelly had a single in the 3rd. Neither one of the hits were blistered. Norris was able to get out of a jam in the 3rd. On the ground, right to Scope, and Romine is retired. 1 away for Bud Norris. Moments ago, we had a chat with Orioles manager Buck Showalter. Well, Buck, just talk to us a little bit about your lineup today, how it's constructed with Pierce sitting second, Delman Young in left. Do you like what you see so far?
Well, I like the way Bud's pitching. You know, it's a given with Price out there that runs are going to be a premium from his standpoint. You just try to stay engaged in the game and see if you can make a run at it at some point. But, you know, everybody's engaged, and we've got to stay in warm up there.
Yeah. Hey, Buck, what about Bud Norris? He's come a long ways, this kid. You saw him last year, kind of struggled a little bit, but this year he's turned it all the way around, especially, the last half of the season, and you made the right move bringing him in tonight.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. You know, Bud's an athletic, engaged guy, very competitive, and he's one of those guys. If you want him to do something, tell him he can't do it. He's going to show you. He likes the competition. You know, he's not going to shirk the responsibility. And it was a good trade that Dan Duquette made for us, and you know, we like the results. You're glad he's on your side.
And our thanks to Buck Showalter, and he is always ready to give credit to his boss, Dan Duquette, Executive Vice President, and the man who handles all the baseball operations. Been a number of pieces put together, and those 2 opposite ends of the personality spectrum, Dan Duquette and Buck Showalter. But Joe, they work very well together, and I think Andy McPhail deserves a lot of credit as well, who was in that job prior to Dan Duquette. A lot of the trades that were made on the pieces that we see on this current roster.
No question about it. Andy McPhail kind of set the table for some of this, including a huge deal with Seattle where he pretty much robbed them blind. He sent Eric Bedard to Seattle back in February of '08, and in return from the Mariners, he got Adam Jones, their all-star center fielder and Gold Glove winner. They got Chris Tillman, who started game 1 of this playoff series, and a couple of minor league pitchers as well. So that was a huge deal as part of forms a lot of the nucleus of this team, orchestrated by Andy McPhail.
You know, the interesting one to me was Uehara, you know, because all the success that he had with Boston, that's a long time ago. But that trade, Baltimore had him, sent him to Texas, and at the time you didn't think much of it, right? But you got Chris Davis and you got Tommy Hunter, and they both have been key players on this club. And you know what Chris Davis has done with the 53 jacks last year. Obviously, he's not here this year, but that trade, I don't think a lot of people know about that trade.
That was a trade deadline deal in 2011. Uehara went to Texas and didn't fare so well. He became great for the Red Sox. But that was a trade deadline deal in 11 that brought Davis and Hunter over. J.J. Hardy was acquired via trade in that McPhail era as well. That was in 2011. In the offseason from the Twins. Don Kelly pulls one foul. Well, McPhail also hired Buck Showalter, who took over in 2010.
That might have been the best move he made. You think about it at the time. They were going nowhere. They were bad when he got them.
Next to his bench coach, John Russell, whose name has been rumored for the Minnesota Twins job. He is among the finalists after Ron Gardenhire was let go. As Don Kelly takes a ball down and away. It has been impressive the way the Orioles have managed around some losses, and major losses. I'm not sure how many organizations could withstand as they have. Losing Matt Wieters, losing Manny Machado, Chris Davis suspended. It's possible he could come back. Here's the 9th pitch, and Kelly, he goes, but the pitch gets away, and Kelly will reach first base. That's a strikeout and a wild pitch. That allows Kelly to reach. And a man on with one out. It's the 6th strikeout for Bud Norris. On a base runner.
3-2 pitch. He just missed with the 2-2 pitch, and he throws a slider down the dirt. He could not hold up, but it got away from Hundley, and there's no way he can get him. But you see 3-2 pitch slider down in the dirt, which is a big punch-out pitch for him to even left-handed hitters. But that's a break for the Tigers to have a guy on first.
Yeah, another backhanded attempt again by Hundley, too. I don't know if he was set up way inside and didn't have time to get over there again. Let's take a look at that, because it's a wild pitch, yes, because it went in the dirt, but he's set up there.
Yeah.
You can't backhand that ball.
No.
You know, he picked one earlier in the game, but you get lucky to do that. And he knows the slider's coming down and in.
Right.
You've got to block it.
Could be a big play. Got a runner at first with one out. And a check on Kelly. Kelly stole a base in the 3rd inning. Did not run often in the regular season. Didn't play all that often either. Kind of a spare part utility player. But when he did run, he was successful 6 out of 7 times in the regular year, and a stolen base in his first attempt in the 3rd inning.
You see Norris with that kick. He's trying to make a quick kick, trying to hurry up with that leg kick because he needs it for his power.
Kinsler is 0 for his last 7 at the plate. Had a walk and an infield hit in his last 2 at-bats in Game 1. That has been his only hit. He's 1 for 10 now. Kinsler with big power, and he has been a big run producer out of the leadoff spot, and he took a rip at one there.
You can't be trying to slide step with a guy that he could steal a bag, but he's not a burner, and you got to get the hitter.
Yeah, and you've got to trust your catcher to help you out a little bit. They keep feeding Kinsler hard stuff upstairs, and he keeps trying to uppercut it. That's not a good combination for the hitter.
Kinsler, 32 years of age. Back in the postseason. Had a postseason run with the Rangers. 4 postseason home runs, as a matter of fact. He was a big-time performer in 2011. Had 9 hits in that World Series for Texas. That was against St. Louis. And a week ago today, Kinsler in that clinching game last Sunday. Tigers in the final game of the regular season able to win the division. Kinsler had 3 hits and a home run, but has been quiet so far in the first 3 games of this postseason. Kelly struck out, reaches on a wild pitch, and Kinsler a cut and a miss. Same spot, 93 with a fastball, and it's 1-2 now on the Tiger second baseman.
That was a little better hitter's pitch. That one was down a little bit, and he slapped his bat after he swung and missed at that one, because I think that was one he liked. But yeah, again, you got to credit Norris. He is coming right after guys.
Torrey Hunter on deck, and then Cabrera. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Norris delivers, and Kinsler takes a ball low. After that clinching game on Sunday was interesting. Kinsler was interviewed following the game as the player of the game, and while he respects the fact that this ballpark is packed just about every day and night, he had a quote in that game saying, "We need more sore throats in the crowd." They've been quiet today.
They really
Kinsler
have.
trying to give them something to cheer about. Kinsler pops it up. That is a mile high. Scope will make the call, and that is out number 2. We're talking about Chris Davis and his possibilities of coming back. Jamie has more on that. What's the status with the suspended slugger, Jamie?
Yeah, Brian, he's serving that 25-game suspension for testing positive for amphetamines. He's going to miss 8 postseason games in total, but should the Orioles advance, Chris Davis would be ready to go. He stands sharp, getting at-bats playing an instructional league at the Orioles complex in Sarasota, Florida. The first baseman is playing third base. Now, there's a couple of caveats here. If Davis rejoins the team, say mid-ALCS, it would mean Showalter would have to start a 24-man roster. Davis would need to be added to the roster at the start of the series. The other part, Showalter said he'd have his players vote on whether or not to add Davis to the ALCS roster.
Now, that's the real interesting part of that is Torrey Hunter on the first pitch pops it up to right. Markakis makes the play, and Bud Norris matching David Price pitch for pitch. No score through 5. Game 3 ALDS. Jones has good speed, doesn't run a whole lot, not a great base stealer, but he can certainly go first to third. He's got a chance to score as well if it's in a gap or down a line. And that one's hit hard right field line. Cruz watching this one slice, and it is a fair ball home run. Nelson Cruz just sneaks it inside the foul pole. A 2-run home run for Cruz. And the Orioles are on top. They strike first in the 6th inning.
This looked like a harmless fly ball down the right field line. I thought it was just going to go foul. I didn't think it even had enough. You're talking about 330 down that line. He snuck it in there. This is a shocker.
What is he? Who is this guy again? I mean, he's taken over the Mr. October mantle. Sorry, Reggie. This is amazing what he's doing to teams, and especially to the Tigers.
Once again, he lets that ball travel like he did the last time up with the base hit, and he dunks that ball over the 330 sign.
Fan dropped the ball, said he wants no part of it. Nelson Cruz will take it. A 2-run home run, his second of the series, and he puts the Orioles on top 2-0 here in this potential elimination game today.
That is a stunner, isn't it? It just it
thought
came out of nowhere.
I thought it was a foul ball. He didn't even run right away because it looked like he thought it was going to slice foul. That's his 4th career homer off David Price.
And you mentioned his success against the Tigers, and this goes back before Brad Ausmus took over. But Nelson Cruz in 9 games against Detroit in the postseason has 8 home runs now, 2 doubles. And he's driven in 18 RBIs in 9 games against the Tigers alone in the postseason.
9 games.
He's now hit safely in 10 of his last 11 postseason games, going back to the World Series of 2011. And now has 16 career postseason homers. Price makes a good play here to get Delman Young.
Let's see where that pitch was, because I'm still trying to figure this out.
Was it outside? It was up. First of all, I mean, but it was outer part of the plate. I don't think it was middle. That's out over. All right, that is not middle. That ball's almost a ball. I mean, that is a shocker. Nobody knew any. In fact, Price didn't even react to it.
He looked in the Tiger dugout like, what just happened?
And Cruz did the same. He stood there at home plate thinking, well, this is going to slice foul. But it stayed fair, and it just snuck inside the pole. That is the shortest distance in this entire ballpark, right there where he hit it. That's just 330 away. And Nelson Cruz, what a clutch performer he continues to be. 2 more hits today, and now 6 for 11 in this series alone with 2 home runs. Cut and a miss by J.J. Hardy.
It's kind of strange.
In some ways, I mean, that's basically the same spot that Adam Jones hit the ball up the middle. It's just up. I mean, it's that far either on the corner or off the plate. But it was up.
He's a special hitter, I'll tell you.
Mercy.
2 outs. 0-2 the count on Hardy. And he fouls one back.
It's kind of weird they changed catchers right after Pierce is up at bat. Then he gets the Pierce to fly out, and then cheap little base hit up the middle by Jones, and then Cruz shocks the whole ballpark.
Another 0-2 coming from Price, and that one's in there. Called strike 3. However, Nelson Cruz, he's the new Mr. October. I'm with you, Joe. A 2-run homer, 2-0 O's. stay positive here in Detroit with a little help from the scoreboard as well. But the Baltimore Orioles have the lead 2-0 and 12 outs away from a trip to the ALCS. Heart of the order coming up for the Tigers. Miguel Cabrera will lead off. New left fielder David Lowe. He'll take over for Delman Young as the Orioles upgrade defensively in left. And now Bud Norris back to work. Starts his 6th inning. Cabrera on the first pitch. Flaherty cuts it off. And there is out number 1. Nelson Cruz, Joe, goes deep again. And how about a little jawing for Miguel Cabrera on his way by, returning the favor.
They had been chirping at each other during lineups, and everybody is out on the baseline. And look at Miguel. He's still in kind of stunned silence, like the rest of us when that ball stayed fair.
There's nothing to say. I mean, that was a shocker.
And Cabrera retired quickly. So here is this outstanding Baltimore bullpen if you need it. Bud Norris doesn't look like he needs a bullpen just yet. He's been cruising along. The Orioles have the lead. They've got the momentum. The crowd has not been a factor today. Been very quiet from the start. And the one chance the Tigers had to get a rally going was the third, but it did come with 2 outs. Victor Martinez was at the plate. He flew out to center field with 2 on in the 3rd inning. Here he bats with nobody on and 1 away in the 6th.
You got to think about that Oriole bullpen too. You talk about Andrew Miller, who is just dominant out there, can give you multiple innings. Obviously the closer Britton out there. I mean, you know that Buck, regardless how Norris goes about this thing, is going to try to piece this together. And how soon, we'll find out.
And he's only thrown 87 pitches, so
there's Andrew Miller.
Any sign of trouble, there'll be some guys moving around out there.
Well, I would be moving around out there. It's cold.
That'll be the real test for Buck Showalter, when and if he does pull the plug on Bud Norris. No reason to now. He's pitching in the windup. Has 1 gone. Martinez takes a ball down and away. Shift is on for Victor Martinez, who is 0 for 2. A strikeout and a fly ball out to center. That was a long at bat Martinez had in the 3rd. And Norris finally retired him with 2 men on base, 2nd and 3rd at the time.
I'm surprised this crowd's not loud just to look for a walk, a hit, or something. Let's go. And this is one of the most quietest crowds I have heard.
On the ground, right to Pierce. Big hop for him. And Norris gets Cabrera and Victor Martinez. First 2 gone. Game 3, Detroit. First trip here to the Motor City. The Orioles lead 2-0 and this 2014 American League Division Series on TBS, presented by T-Mobile. Bud Norris moved up, flip-flop with Miguel Gonzalez in the starting rotation to get Game 3, saving Gonzalez for a Game 4 if necessary. And you heard Buck Showalter mention earlier in our broadcast, this guy's tough as nails. You tell him he can't, he will. And I think Buck put him in an underdog position, which is a pretty comfortable position to be in if you're Bud Norris matching up against David Price today.
Well, his control has been, you saw him throw a ball here, launch a ball here and there. He's had some 3-ball counts, but he's come back on. For the most part, it's been 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, a lot of them.
J.D. Martinez takes the ball down and away. Norris has 6 strikeouts thus far.
Once again, he gets behind in the count. He'll go take a little walk around the mound. He did it at 3-1 against Martinez. He's done it before, 2-0. A couple other hitters did it again.
On the ground, goes under the glove of Norris, but right to Scope, and no problem. A shutdown inning for Bud Norris and the Orioles. And he goes right through the heart of the order. 1, 2, 3. 3 weakly hit ground balls. Now this season for the Detroit Tigers is on the brink as we head to the 7th inning. Baltimore has a 2-0 lead on a Nelson Cruz opposite field home run last inning. A 2-run shot, is second of the series. Price back to work. First batter is Nick Hundley, and it's in there for a strike. Hundley 0 for 6 thus far in the postseason. He started game 1. He's 0 for 2 today. And you got to give him a lot of credit as well. Bud Norris and Nick Hundley able to navigate this very tough Detroit lineup. Norris just goes right through Cabrera, Martinez, and Martinez with ease in the 6th. Tigers have not had a hit since the 3rd inning, as a matter of fact. Well, of all the things David Price had on his plate today and the burden of pitching in an elimination game, I'm sure he felt like run support wasn't going to be one of them, the way the Tigers swing the bat. One of the most prolific offenses in the major leagues this season, but they have been shut down by Bud Norris, who's making his first career postseason start.
Well, not only that, Brian, but because Bud Norris hadn't had any luck against the Detroit Tigers. This year, a 6.3 ERA in 2 games.
No, he didn't go. But you just don't know these kids. I know that Norris had a nice year, but you don't know who's going to show up in postseason. I mean, it's his first game. Who really knows?
2-2 from Price, and it's popped up. Miguel Cabrera in fair territory will make the catch. David Price has one gone in the 7th inning. Price continues to shut down the leadoff hitters. He's now 6 out of 7 today, so not allowing the Orioles to get much going early. Nelson Cruz had a leadoff single in the 4th inning. That Cruz home run was with 1 out in the 6th. Now the Tigers arrived back here to Comerica a little shell-shocked after dropping the first 2 games of this ALDS. There's a line drive base hit just out of the reach of Romine. And Ryan Flaherty comes up with a single, his first hit of the game, his 2nd of the postseason, and a base runner with 1 out against Price.
And again, the bottom of their order doing something to set up the top. This time it's Flaherty against his old college teammate. First hit for either Flaherty or Scope today, but they are up and down the lineup. The Orioles are really swinging the bat well.
A lot of talk about Chris Davis coming back. Jamie reported he's been playing third base in instructional league if the Orioles do advance. Flaherty's had a great series so far. He's played very well defensively, has a couple of hits. He drove in a run. Jonathan Scope, and a big cut and a miss.
This kid's kind of scary, isn't he?
Yes.
I mean, I know he's a free swinger, but when he makes contact, he can leave.
Scope is 0 for 2, a couple of fly ball outs against David Price today. It's a cool, windy afternoon. It's a day for the pitcher. Strike 2.
He just pumped that ball right in there.
Al Albuquerque is in the Tigers bullpen. Has not appeared yet in this series.
Davis Price hasn't had a lot of luck as a starter in postseason. Was a starter 0-4.
No balls, 2 strikes on Scope. Flaherty is the runner at first. And Scope, a ground ball. Flaherty had to hold for a minute. It's bobbled by Kinsler, and he'll take the chance and get the out. Flaherty had to make sure the ball cleared. That slowed him down and allowed Kinsler to make a good play to get the lead out. So 2 gone and a runner at first for the top of the order.
That's a good heads-up play by Kinsler, knowing the runner had stopped to let the ball go by. Well off the plate. Scope put it in play.
Especially he stayed with it. You know, you fumble it right there, and he knew he slowed down, because if he didn't, he had no chance fumbling or going to second base.
Kinsler's been the best defender that the Tigers have had this year. A lot of his folks selling him for a Gold Glove this season, including his manager Brad Ausmus. But they got him for his bat, and it has been a struggle in this division series for Ian Kinsler. Just 1 for 11. 2 outs. Markakis at the plate. 4th trip to the plate against David Price. He's 0 for 3. Price struck him out in the 5th. Joe Nathan has not pitched in this postseason, has not pitched in a week. Hoping today is his chance to get on the mound to try to save one for Detroit. Right now his club is down 2-0. There goes Scope, and Markakis lets it go by. It's a strike, and the tag is late. The throw is there, but Scope just got a hand in, and a stolen base for Jonathan Scope.
He looked like he just guessed right there and took off, because it doesn't take very long for Price to get it to home plate with no leg kick, and he was gone.
Only stole 2 bases in the regular season and just beat that throw.
That slide slowed him down, didn't it? He gets almost stuck there.
Quick tag by Romine. Good throw by Holiday. Did all he could. Just barely. A finger in there.
It's like a cargo ship going through the swamp, though. It just
So there's a runner in scoring position. That's a big insurance run.
A shocker to begin with when Baltimore steals a bag. A big man could pick him up a little bit.
That was awfully close, but he beat it.
Yeah, and the Tigers don't have a challenge. Crew chief could ask for it in the 7th inning if he wanted, but they choose not to. And Markakis, a swing and a miss. Down he goes on strike. So David Price comes back after giving up a 2-run homer in the 6th, puts up a 0 in the 7th. Tigers are coming up 2-0 Baltimore. We head to the home half of the 7th inning. Today's Geico game summary. The Baltimore Orioles on a 2-run home run from Nelson Cruz. A 2-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. We began the series talking about the Orioles and the fact that they're trying to prove that what they did in the regular season, winning the American League East by 12 games, was no fluke. And this ball club is now 9 outs away from taking this to the American League Championship Series. This has been quite a story, and their underrated starting rotation is getting a gem from Bud Norris today.
Oh, especially today with Bud Norris. You know, you talk about a kid that never pitched good against Detroit. In fact, got lit up a lot. But you talk about what he's done today. Punched out 6 guys. Had that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and you see him punching out Martinez with that. The slider to the right-handers and the fastball to the left-handers, and really hasn't been in a whole lot of trouble. Got a break there with a safe call, or an out call on Rominer would have been 1 run, but no runs to work with off of a guy like Price, and he's done the job.
And we showed you that graphic earlier today about the middle of the order for the Tigers carrying the weight for their offense in the first 2 games. Well, they're 0 for 9 today, and when none of the other guys are hitting and those guys are 0 for 9, it's going to be a tough day for the Tigers to score.
Norris has only given up 2 hits. The Tigers have not had a hit since Don Kelly's leadoff single in the 3rd inning. And Brian Holiday leads off. He came in for Avila. He swings at the first pitch. J.J. Hardy, the Gold Glover, will make the call and the catch. And the Tigers are running out of outs here at Comerica. Still awaiting a report on Avila from the Tigers clubhouse. Jamie is efforting that. As soon as we get that, we'll pass it along, just assuming concussion symptoms again for Avila, who had to leave this game just prior to the 2-run homer by Nelson Cruz in the 6th.
Well, no matter what happens, the Orioles pitchers have still got to go through that middle of the order one more time. I'm not sure which inning it's going to be yet, but they are going to get one more at bat.
Right now, Norris at the bottom of the Tigers order. Nick Castellanos takes a strike. He's 0 for 2 today. The only base runner the Tigers have had since the 3rd inning was on a wild pitch after a swinging strike 3. That was Don Kelly. Norris had 6 strikeouts today, and there's a big swing and a miss. And it's 0-2 on the Tiger third baseman.
Well, he's had that nasty slider to those right-handers. How you saw him swing at it, balls in the dirt sometimes. That's how nasty it is. He's really a 2-pitch pitcher. I mean, he threw one changeup double by Avila earlier in the game, and that's about it.
I love what Buck Showalter said about him in our meeting before the game. He goes, you know, he can get real pretty when he's on his game. And he's right. Fastball, slider.
He's beautiful.
Just enough change-ups to make you think about it. That has been a big pitch for him, something he never had with the Houston Astros in 5+ years there. Coming off a career year, and he is in the driver's seat today against the Tigers. But don't sleep on the Tiger offense, though. As much firepower as we've seen from the Orioles, the Tigers are much the same. It's been one of the best hitting teams in baseball the last few years, and that did not change this season.
You got Andrew Miller just hovering out there. He's ready in the Baltimore bullpen.
2-2 pitch, and he hung one, missed upstairs. That's a great note there. 10 of 11 with 2 strikes. He's retired. Norris has been able to finish off at bats.
It's a big pitch for Norris right here.
Crowd is trying. I'm not sure their heart's all in yet. They want to see some action first. Castellanos fouls it back.
You mentioned Miller is kind of hovering, and I think he's begun to throw. There's another guy hovering, and that's probably Buck Showalter, just waiting for any sign at all that Norris is maybe running out of gas, because he knows how strong his bullpen is.
Andrew Miller was loosening last inning. He's ready to go. Pitch number 100, and that misses inside, not by much, and that is going to be a walk. That is the first walk since the first inning for Bud Norris, and Buck Showalter is on his way out.
See ya.
As the tying run will come up. Showalter will take the trip to the mound.
What a game. What a great job.
He did his job, this kid. First postseason game, beautiful thing.
Well, Norris will give up the ball in a shutout. And Buck Showalter is going to turn it over to his very talented bullpen to try to get him the rest of the way. We'll set up Andrew Miller after a break.
And we saw Alex Avila exit the game just a little bit ago. We know that he has a history of dealing with concussions recently. We're still waiting on official word from the Tiger staff. We know that Alex is back in the clubhouse, so we'll keep you posted on that, guys. No real update at this point.
All right, thank you. This was the foul ball that Avila took, and he was woozy, wobbled, came out of the game. They don't even hesitate with Avila. 3 concussions in his big league career, and moving forward for Brad Ausmus, it does affect who he has available on the bench. Holiday's already in the game, his backup catcher. He does not have a very deep, potent bench to start with. And so as Andrew Miller comes in, the left-handed pitcher, the strikeout pitcher, the switch hitter Romine will bat, and it looks like Rajai Davis has moved on deck for the Tigers.
And it doesn't matter with Andrew Miller. He can punch out anybody. Good time of the lineup for him. You talk about 8, 9. You talk Davis on deck. And that's about it for the Tigers. They haven't got much off the bench. And they don't need it after that because you start the top of the lineup. And you wonder who else is going to get involved in this because of the right-handed hitters. Obviously O'Day at some point, but I wonder how long he's going to go with Andrew Miller.
Miller with an inning and 2/3 in game 1. He gave him 5 big outs. He struck out 3 in that game. He walked the first batter he faced in game 1. That was Cabrera, and then retired the next 5. 1 gone in the inning. Bottom of the 7th here in Detroit. Bud Norris, the best start among the Orioles thus far. 6 1/3 at this point. No earned runs. Still responsible for the runner at first. And 6 punch-outs for Bud Norris in his first career postseason game. Andrew Romine, switch hitting shortstop. Got a runner at first. And Miller misses away. 95 with the fastball. Evens a count at a ball and a strike.
Great pickup by Dan Duquette. Getting Andrew Miller, a guy that the Tigers were also trying to acquire.
Almost 15 strikeouts per 9 innings. One of the best in the business.
Yeah, he led the American League among relievers in strikeouts per 9. Way inside, almost hit Romine.
He can have some control issues, though. I mean, a big, tall guy like that, he's had him in his career.
Romine would like to do that over and take one for the team there. Especially on a breaking ball.
Behind Miller is Darren O'Day out in the bullpen. Sidewinding right-hander. And there's a swing and a miss. Romine had a big cut, but a big bender by Andrew Miller gets the count at 2-2.
Big is right. It's a big sweeper. This one.
You look at fastball. You got to protect that 95, and then he throws that little sweeping thing and make you look bad. And he loves it too. I mean,
another one. Tapper. Miller's going to second. Out there. Scopes throw to first. And not in time. Romine able to beat it. So Andrew Miller showing some athleticism off the mound. Gets the lead out at second base.
a little risky right there if you think about it. He pounced on that thing. They almost turned 2 on it, but he got to it in a hurry. But anytime a pitcher is going to throw the ball to second base, you kind of hold your breath. He gets to it, he fires it over there, and Scope turns it.
Again, it was close because Scope has just got a rifle over there.
Yep. Good call over there by the first base umpire, Jim Wolf. You always have a chance at a double play with Scope turning, and we saw that in game 2, and that terrific double play started by Flaherty. So here's Rajay Davis pinch hitting. Brad Osma said he did not want to start Davis because of the injury, so he could use him when he really needed him. So he is not going to need a pinch hitter for a while as the Tigers go to the top of the order next. So this may be his last chance to use Davis.
And while he has not been able to run, he has swung the bat pretty well in the first 2 games, including that base hit into the corner.
And a little saw pop up to Scope, and that will retire the side. Norris started, got it out, and Drew Miller gets the last 2, and we are headed to the 8th.
You're not going to win a series. I mean, you shouldn't. You can't get away with it.
Pearson to center field. Carrera just in the game. Will make the play for out number 1. David Price is pitching well. That 2-run homer by Cruz, his only blemish. He has an out here in the 8th. Don't forget, the National League postseason continues tomorrow. It's the Nationals and the Giants on MLB Network tomorrow. That'll either be at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock Eastern. And then later on Fox Sports 1, Dodgers Cardinals, 9 p.m. or 9:30 Eastern. And the times depend on the Angels Royals game 4 if necessary. 3 of the 4 division series are at 2-0 advantages. Giants over the Nationals. You got the Royals 2-0 over the Angels, and the Orioles here 2-up on the Detroit Tigers. Here's Adam Jones. Price misses down and away. You start looking ahead at the Tigers lineup and what's coming up for them. They'll have the top of the order next. As we get to the 8th, it'll be Ian Kinsler, Torrey Hunter, Miguel Cabrera, if anybody gets on, Victor Martinez, and what figures to be the showdown inning. And you know the Tigers would love to flip the script for the 8th inning against the Orioles. Be curious to see who Showalter puts on the mound for that 8th inning. Does he start it with Miller? Does he go with O'Day with a string of right-handers coming up?
Might depend on who has the better matchups against Kinsler and Torrey Hunter, because they are going to be instrumental in any potential comeback.
But you think about it, it would be a no-brainer. You'd go with O'Day, but that's how good Andrew Miller is. Even to think about, you know, not going to him.
Now, O'Day was up last inning while Miller was in the game. He has stopped throwing for now. And the way Andrew Miller is sitting over there in the dugout, he is in a position and a posture that tells you he's going back out, at least to start the inning. The rhythm for Buck Showalter throughout the regular year has been Miller and O'Day is kind of a 6-7 combination, 6th or 7th inning. He's been going with Tommy Hunter in the 8th inning as a setup man to Zach Britton. But it looks like for now that Tommy Hunter is the 3rd man on the pole at this point.
Oh, I agree. He's down the list.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Adam Jones. Powers a fastball in there. He missed with it. Looked like a pretty good pitch. 3-2 the count. The dangerous Cruz is on deck. And it was his 2-run home run, the only tallies on the board thus far, back in the 6th. And he missed. So Price off the plate. Adam Jones draws a rare walk. And he is aboard for Nelson Cruz. He was on when Cruz batted in the 6th. Then off the plate, up in the zone, and hammers one down the line. Just snuck it inside the foul pole.
I'm going to disagree. That ball was not hammered, okay? PA, okay? I mean, we're all sitting here in disbelief when that thing went out of the ballpark right down the line. But give him credit.
If I gave that up, I wouldn't be dropping a hammer on it.
Come on. Cold day, opposite field.
But he's been dropping some hammers, yes.
Yeah.
16 home runs, by the way. Tied him with Carlos Beltran, 9th all time. Manny Ramirez owns the MLB record for postseason homers with 29. But he jumped ahead of Babe Ruth in that category. Now hang on a minute. You two, all day I'm listening to you two talk about the weather, the wind.
I didn't think anybody was going to go deep.
Nobody's going to hit a home run here. And he goes oppo as see Miguel Cabrera barking,
barking
in the dugout,
right
then
now.
laughing.
It's the big boys that hit the slices that go out.
And Cruz gave him an earful in return on his way around the bases after that home run. Hammers that ball foul.
Yes, he did.
And out of play, huh? Come on, Joe.
Yeah. I was thinking more of kind of like a pop bottle rocket, you know, that kind of just kind of.
You can't hit a ball over the fence on a
Fizzled.
day like this in right field without hitting it on the barrel.
Oh,
right?
and into the wind.
Into the wind.
Okay.
Jeez.
No. The thing about this guy is I don't know where David Price can go now.
Right inside, like he did that pitch before.
Got a runner at first. No balls, 2 strikes on Cruz. And time was asked for and granted. I believe that was Cruz asking for timeout. Umpire doesn't have to grant him the timeout there. Jeff Kellogg felt it was early enough.
He tied him up on that fastball before. It looked like they were trying to go away.
Oh, 2 pitch. This is low.
I mean, if you're David Price and you've pitched this terrific game, you've thrown a 5-hitter, but you're losing 2-0 on what was described by some as a hammered pitch the other way.
Ball's hammered the other way.
I'd be trying to bite my lip on, you got to be kidding me, I'm losing this game.
I think that's the feeling for about all facets of the Detroit Tigers, except their bullpen. We saw Cabrera's reaction in Baltimore. You got to be kidding me that we lost this game after scoring 6 runs, scoring 5 in an inning. That's been the general sentiment. And you got to give credit to the Oriole pitching for keeping the Tigers down. Doesn't happen very often. And if you're David Price, he knows as well as anyone the big boys are coming up in the bottom of the 8th. And just trying to get him there with the game still 2-0. Cabrera will hit 3rd in the bottom of the 8th.
It's going to take a lot for Albuquerque to find his way to this game. I'll tell you this.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Cruz, and it's up high for a ball. He went back to the fastball. Pitch count at 110. Not a concern of Brad Ausmus at this point.
And he may have lost a little bit on his fastball. I mean, that pitch was up, got away from him a little bit. It was 91. He was around 93 earlier today.
He was 93 all day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
See what he has in mind. 2-2. Jones at first, and right off the end of the bat, a slow roller foul.
See, he carried his bat all the way till he stopped down the first baseline. When he hit that ball to right field and he wasn't sure if it was going to be fair or foul, he carried his bat halfway down the line. Yeah, and then dropped it.
That's interesting to hit a bomb and you carry your bat, but obviously that one he thought it was foul too. That's why he held on.
Crowd trying to help out there. Big lefty. Orioles have already beaten Scherzer in the series. They chased Verlander early in game 2, although Verlander led with the lead. He went just 5+. And the O's have David Price on the ropes here in the 8th. And now Holiday out to have a word with Price. I don't know if it had anything to do with it or not, but it was curious when Avila left the game after the foul ball in the mask. Price did retire the first hitter, but then gave up a single to Jones and then the home run to Cruz. Holiday's caught Price in the past. He's actually come in for him after an injury to Alex Avila in the past. 2-2 again on the ground. Got a chance to turn it here. And the Tigers go 6-4. Oh, he can't get the 3. It's out of the glove of Cabrera, and a bad throw from Kinsler will keep the inning alive. So a routine
you got to turn that
double play ball.
This ball has got to be a double play ball. Hit it sharply to short. Just a routine double play ball. I don't know what went wrong. I mean, Kinsler probably just tried to hurry this thing. Just a bad throw, and Miggy can't get it. Pulls Miggy off the bag, and he just gets out of his glove.
Good feed and everything too from Romine. Just a little bit of a sidearm action and pulled it.
Well, the normally sure-handed Ian Kinsler allowing this inning to continue. And in the spot that was originally occupied by Delman Young is now David Lowe came in defensively after Cruz's home run in the 6th, and he got him. Cruz is picked off first base. David Price ends the inning on his own. We might have a challenge. Hold the band for just a moment. Might take a look at this one. Buck Showalter is out. Cruz was looking into the dugout as if to say he thought he could have got back in, and Buck gives his replay officials a time to look at it and says, nope, you're out.
He was barely off the bag, and he's got picked off.
So no challenge. Inning over. Tigers have the big boys coming up, including Cabrera. He'll hit third. Their season on the line. 2-0 O's. Kinsler, Torrey Hunter, Miguel Cabrera. If anybody gets on, Victor Martinez.
Kinsler 2 for 6 off of Andrew Miller with a home run. Lifetime.
And if you're Brad Ausmus, you just desperately want somebody to get on in front of Miguel Cabrera.
I know who.
This is as loud as Comerica Park has been tonight. And Kinsler takes a strike, so Miller spins one in to get ahead of the count. A ball and 2 strikes now to the Tiger leadoff hitter.
Already in this postseason, guys, we've seen some rather dubious moves by managers that have backfired. This is, I mean, you talk about who do you bring in to pitch to whom in this inning on Buck Showalter. There's some big time decisions here in a close ball game.
Says everything about how the confidence he has in Miller.
Well, he took the ball from his starter Bud Norris with a shutout. Norris went 6 shutout, and then came on the 7th, gave up a base runner. That ball is fair. Flaherty makes the play, and a perfect throw for the out. That was a close call down the third base line, but Flaherty guarding that line makes a terrific play to get Kinsler for out number 1.
Kinsler gets a fastball down and in. He yanks this ball. I thought it was going to be a foul ball off the bat. He kind of did a little bit too. He didn't get out of the box. This is a nice play by Flaherty. Backhands it. He's got enough in his gun there to go all the way across the diamond, and an easy out.
Boy, he's played well at third.
Good call over there by Dan Bellino, third base umpire. 1 gone. Here is Torrey Hunter, takes a ball down and in. Miller came on, got the final 2 outs of the 7th. 6 1/3 for Norris. But Norris only gave up 2 hits. He struck out 6. As Hunter takes a strike. And Joe Nathan finally throwing in the Tiger bullpen. He was up on Friday, but then that big 8th inning, and the Orioles took the lead. We didn't see Nathan. Hadn't pitched in this postseason yet. Count goes a ball and 2 strikes on Hunter.
That breaking ball, if you're a right-handed hitter, is so easy to give up on. It starts breaking. I mean, it comes out of his hand looking like it's going to go to the backstop, and it's easy to give up on it, and it still gets in there near the plate.
It's got a lot of break on it. He can backdoor it way off and bring it back.
And then
or yank a fastball.
Bust you at 95.
Miller coming to the Orioles from the Red Sox in a deadline deal. At a 1.35 earned run average did Andrew Miller in his time with Baltimore. 1.35 ERA in 20 innings. Was actually drafted by the Tigers. Ground ball to Scope. And Torrey Hunter is retired, and Andrew Miller 2 outs here in the 8th, and he's given them 4 big outs thus far. American Dad can do whatever they want on TBS. Brand new Edge of Your Season starts October 20th, 9/8 Central, only on TBS. Very funny.
Great situation here for Miller and the Orioles. Got a 2-run lead, and all Cabrera can do is make it 2-1. That's the worst that can happen.
And you talk about the decisions these managers have to make. The players are executing almost to perfection for Buck Showalter. Every guy he puts out there is getting the job done. And Cabrera, big hack, and that is fouled off the home plate umpire, Jeff Kellogg.
I tell you what, it gives you the confidence to just air it out right there. First pitch, you kidding me? Fastball, middle, 96 miles an hour. He's right on it.
Right off the shoulder.
I mean, he threw it as hard as he could. He's getting it. It's a big man coming at you.
Andrew Miller was telling us that he was so disappointed, almost broken-hearted when the Tigers traded him to the Marlins for Miguel Cabrera, among others. Starting pitcher. He loved pitching here in Detroit. He's got Cabrera down 0-2. Snaps off a nasty breaking ball.
That one's a little different.
Yeah,
that
more
one
downward action
yeah.
to it. Harder, not a sweeper.
Had a little more hard tilt to it.
Starts this ball. Look at that thing going down hard.
No balls, 2 strikes. And Cabrera fouls it away. Cabrera is 2 for 2 career against Miller. He does have a walk as well. Miller's never retired him. However, the Tigers do not have a hit since the 3rd inning here tonight. And they've had only 2 base runners since the 3rd inning. One reached after a strikeout and a wild pitch, and the other on a walk. O's pitching has dominated on this cold Sunday. Cabrera hangs in there again.
And the 2 hits, one an opposite field double by Avila, and the other looked like a ball off the end of the bat by Kelly that just got over short.
Optimism is waning here in Detroit. Down to their last 4 outs, but they've got some power hitters at the plate and coming up. As Cabrera on the ground, nice easy hop for Scope. And Andrew Miller, what a job again. He got him 5 outs in game 1. He gets him 5 big ones in game 3. To the 9th, Baltimore 2-0. Here comes Joe Nathan. And Brad Osma said he's getting in the game today regardless, and here he is.
You know, it's too bad when we talked about a game that they had, and you know, a 3-run lead going into the 8th, and in the playoffs time you'd think that a closer would go 2 innings. It's unheard of. But if you look back at and he's a guy that doesn't do it. Like he's had what, 160 games saved in a row where he's only gone 1 inning, so
right.
he just never does that. But hindsight says, man, you got to get your closer in any game that you want to shut down, that you can't afford to, you know, to give up.
Well, speaking of closers, there's Zach Britton, one of the best in the business this season. And he is on to try to save his 2nd.
Yeah, the game last year you're talking about, Kimbrel was still left in the bullpen, right? And and everybody second-guessed that. Why not get 2 out of Kimbrel last year? You can't.
Against the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what Joe Nathan's arsenal is. Has not pitched in 7 days. Last postseason appearance was against the Orioles. That was back in the 2012 AL wildcard game. He was pitching for the Rangers at the time. And he gave up a couple of insurance runs for the Orioles in that game. Baltimore entered in as the wild card in 2012, won the wild card game, and then eventually lost out to the New York Yankees in the American League Division Series. Won the division this year for the first time since '97, and they are 3 defensive outs away from their first trip to the American League Championship Series since that '97 season. 2-2 to Hardy. In the air, left center, pretty well hit. Ezekiel Carrera will corral it for out number 2. Gives us a chance to check in Atlanta with Casey Stern. What do you have, Case?
All right, BA, thank you. Coming up at 7:30 Eastern, Mike Trout will get another opportunity. 0 through the first 2 games of his postseason career. He'll hope to help give some run support to C.J. Wilson up against big game James Shields in Game 3. Going to be crazy at the K. Back to you guys at Comerica Park.
Yeah, you know it is. And big game James, a chance to pitch the Royals into the league championship series. Be the first time since 1985 for them. Long faces here in Detroit. A lot of concern for where this season is headed. As Hundley, a big swing and a miss.
I liked what Buck Showalter said to us today, guys, when we were having our meeting and we were talking about Chris Davis, and he said, you know what, my biggest concern is beating the Detroit Tigers. That's what I'm focused on. And he said the other stuff, if we get to that point, then we'll talk about it. But I really appreciated his focus, staying on, even with a 2-0 lead, 2 games to nothing lead, saying we've still got to beat the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah. 4 consecutive division titles, the Tigers. Gone into the league championship series the last 3 times. Well, it's not over yet. Detroit will have some big bats coming up. We'll start with Victor Martinez, then J.D. Martinez. They started for Detroit sports fans with a Lions loss on a late field goal by the Bills just across the street. Nathan, a 1-2-3 inning, picks up a strikeout. The stage is set. Season on the line. The O's can advance. They're 3 outs away. They've got Britton on the mound. Martinez, and Holiday coming up. Time last year he was pitching an instructional league. Out of options. Orioles thought they would lose him if they took him off the roster. Says he is finally healthy for the first time in a couple of years. And a move to the bullpen that has paid off in a big way. Britton took over that closer's role on May 15th and has 37 saves from that time. That's tied for the most in that stretch. Tied with Craig Kimbrell of the Braves, Fernando Rodney of the Seattle Mariners in the regular season. And he's been very good here in the postseason, Joe. He got a huge out before the Orioles erupted in the 8th in Game 1 and then got the save in Game 2.
He hasn't given up a hit yet. Inning and a third. That's not a lot. That's 4 outs. But it's 4 outs in the postseason and hasn't allowed a hit.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tigers need a base runner, and Martinez takes a strike. 1-2 the count.
Again, I give Buck Showalter a lot of credit for having all those pieces available to him in the bullpen and not being tempted to really go down and you know, watch me manage and watch me bring all these guys in. He just went with Miller for the 4 outs, and now he's to Britton.
And Miller made it easy on him. Didn't even have a base runner. Came in with a base runner on, but didn't allow one himself. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Victor Martinez. Britton delivers, and a line shot left center field. Dive, and it's by the left fielder low and all the way into the gap to the wall. That'll be a double. Victor Martinez brings them to their feet at Comerica.
Well, they're going to get the tying run to the plate. That's what they wanted. You see the attempt by Lowe in left field. I think this is a good attempt. I mean, it doesn't matter. He's trying to catch this ball. He makes a nice attempt at it. That ball was scalded. That was a bullet in the gap. And you see, he lays out for it and just misses this. It's been a great play if he caught it, but you got to attempt it.
Yeah, they've got such a great defensive outfield. This is just another one of them. And right off the edge of his glove, he knows Jones is going to be there to back him up, and a slow runner, double at best. Great swing.
Right on the barrel. Victor Martinez comes up with the first hit from that group of the 3, 4, 5 hitters in this game. They are now 1 for 11. Tying run at the plate. Here's J.D. Martinez now. And it's in there for a strike. Little half swing. J.D. Martinez has been clutch late in games this year. In the 9th inning alone this season, 8 of his 23 home runs have come. So 21 RBIs in that stretch as well, and a lot of those home runs are coming off closers in tight games.
This inning just got real long too for Britton with that leadoff guy getting on.
JD Martinez, he has taken down some of the best in the business. That was off Glenn Perkins, an opposite field shot as the Tigers were trying to seal up a division title in September. Got as much power as anyone, and he's homered in the first 2 games of this series.
Got him 0-2 right here. I mean, got to bury something down.
Tying run at the plate. Britton deals at a high fly ball deep right center field. That ball's way back, and it is off the base of the wall. Coming in to score, Victor Martinez. J.D. Martinez brings the Tigers within a run.
This is a tie game if you're in Camden Yards right now. That ball is gone.
Sure is.
Absolutely gone. Britton is lucky. The Orioles are lucky that ball is in that part of the ballpark because the park keeps this ball in the yard. Ball down and in. Look at him stay. His hands behind this and has enough power to hit it that far.
Into that recessed area out in deep right center. What a great job of hitting on that pitch. It was coming in on him.
Victor and JD back-to-back doubles. And the Tigers knocking at the door now. Tying run at second. Winning run at the plate. Brian Holiday. His second plate appearance, and a little butcher boy play, and cuts right through it. Trying to get that tying run to third. Boy, this ball was scalded by JD Martinez.
0-2 pitch that he has that stroke on. One off the wall. I thought he was trying to get 3 there for a second, but he thought otherwise.
His 3rd hit of the series. The other 2 are homers.
Smart to stop at second.
See if the Tigers try to bunt him to third. Squaring early, bunts it foul. This is a spot where the Tigers are sorely missing a bat like Alex Avila, who had to leave this game. We're assuming because of concussion symptoms. Took a foul ball to the mask in the 6th and had to be replaced by Holiday. It's been the backup catcher.
You make him bunt again here?
I don't.
All right.
If especially since he doesn't
Look very
bunt
good doing
well,
it.
Yeah, and they don't bunt a lot. Give him a chance to hit the ball to the right side. Pierce is going to come in though.
No balls, 2 strikes. Not bunting, and he takes down and in, and a good play back there by Nick Hundley to keep Martinez at second.
Well, here's where Martinez has got to get himself a decent lead. They're not bird dogging him out there. He's got plenty of room to maneuver if he wants to get an extra step, because he's not the swiftest of runners either. Very average speed wise.
Holiday's never faced Britton. Nobody out. Back-to-back doubles. And Holiday a swing and a miss. Down he goes. Zach Britton with a big strikeout. The first out of the inning.
This is the sinker that he should have thrown J.D. Martinez. That ball down lower. To strike out, you see the sink on that ball.
At 97. Whew. Not many like him in the game.
When Johnny Venters first got to the big leagues with the Braves, he had that type of action on his fastball at about 95 or 96. He's the only guy I can think of that was like that, left-handed especially.
It's like a breaking ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so hard, but 95, 97, that's ridiculous.
So Buck Showalter's out to talk to his whole infield here. As Castellanos coming to the plate. This has to be about how they're going to pitch him if they're going to work to him with Romine on deck.
And
they're going to walk him.
They are. They're going to put him on.
that?
Buck Showalter is going to roll Big fuzzy dice right here to put Castellanos on base.
You're not kidding.
Putting on the potential winning run, trying to get to the bottom of the Tigers order. And guys, we've talked a lot about the Tigers bullpen as being a shortcoming for Detroit. Their bench, they don't have a lot of big bats on their bench, and they've already used Rajai Davis in this game.
This is the best hitter that they could face, right? I mean,
yes.
Going forward, hell.
Yes. Yeah, and Rajai Davis was the biggest threat they had on the bench.
That is Hernan Perez.
I mean, I like this. This is the guy that, to me, would have been the toughest out going forward.
It is a very gutsy move. A potential winning run, putting him on base. And you're counting on your pitcher to take care of the rest of it.
And you're going to send up a pinch hitter who played all but 8 games in the minor leagues this year. He had 8 games in the big leagues. Showalter putting the heat on Ausmus to make a move on the bench. And Romine will be taken out. Ausmus will send up Hernan Perez, 23-year-old shortstop, the everyday shortstop at AAA Toledo this season. Hit for a high average at the upper levels of the minor leagues the last few years, but this is a different story here in the postseason.
He could become an instant household name in Detroit if he can find a way to reach base and drive in the tying run.
Amazing position that this kid is in right now.
Tigers down to their final 2 outs, but back-to-back doubles, including an RBI double by J.D. Martinez, has made it a 1-run game. There is the potential winning run at first.
What do you tell him before he went up there? Guess what? He's got a 96-mile-an-hour sinker.
Yeah.
Look for it.
Yeah. Break out your wedge.
Guessing there aren't many of those at AAA. Left-handed 97 sinker ballers.
And clearly the ace of the staff in his bat.
Tonight was the 7th no-hit bid of 6 or more innings in the last